The night he marked me, his breath was unsteady and his wolf pressed close, like he feared the dawn would steal me away. Then he vanished, leaving nothing but the phantom burn on my neck and a secret I couldn't share without risking my place in the pack. Now he's back, carrying the scent I've tried to forget, and I'm carrying something far more dangerous than his memory. The forest never asked questions, which was why Aveline preferred its quiet paths over the crowded training grounds. Ferns brushed her calves as she moved, and the air held the soft, wet scent of soil warmed by early summer. It should have been calming. Usually it was. But today, every sound made her shoulders stiffen. A squirrel darted across a branch, and her fingers rose again to the base of her neck. They stopped mid-air. She curled them into a fist and shoved her hand into her cloak pocket before the habit betrayed her. Omegas were watched more closely than anyone in the pack. Nervous gestures invited the wrong kind of attention. "Focus," she muttered under her breath, trying to steady the uneven flutter in her chest. "You're fine, it's just another gathering week." Her wolf didn't believe her. The creature paced behind her ribs, restless, reacting to something she hadn't identified yet. Aveline tried to brush it off as nerves, but instincts this sharp didn't appear without reason. She reached the narrow trail where Rowan had asked her to meet. The beta always walked with a long, purposeful stride, yet today he wasn't here. Odd. He'd been precise about the time. She checked the sky, sun still high, light filtering through branches in uneven bands. A twig snapped behind her. Her heart thudded not the forbidden description, just a single heavy beat that felt too loud. She half turned, expecting Rowan's familiar broad silhouette. Instead, a young trainee jogged past, nearly collision close. "Sorry, Ava," he called. "Didn't see you." "You never do," she answered with a faint smile. Her voice carried steady, but her body betrayed itself. A recoil flickered through her spine before she managed to hold still. The boy didn't notice. He ran off, the smell of pine and wolf musk trailing behind him. Catching the movement, Rowan emerged from the brush at last. "You jumped," he said. "I didn't." He lifted a brow, sharp, assessing. Rowan didn't waste words, he never had. As beta, he'd perfected the art of silent conclusions. "You're tense," he said simply. "I'm fine," she replied, adjusting the strap of her satchel. His gaze lingered on her for a moment longer than comfort allowed. Aveline didn't step back, even though every part of her wanted to. Rowan was one of the few in the pack who didn't treat her like a piece of fragile pottery. Still, that didn't mean he should look too closely. "Omega's usually like this week," Rowan said, finally looking away as he handed her a folded list. "You all get lighter duties during the gathering." "I wouldn't know, I've been gone." Months, to be exact, months she hadn't explained. Months filled with a memory she refused to replay unless absolutely forced. "You're back now," he said, tone clipped but not unkind. "Try to act like it." She gave a small nod. "Gather these herbs before sundown. We're preparing treatments for the out-of-pack guests." Then, with a sharper look, "Try not to vanish again." Before she could answer, he disappeared down the trail. Aveline exhaled slowly. Rowan's suspicion brushed too close to the truth she hid beneath her clothes, beneath her skin, beneath the faint mark that pulsed with warmth whenever her emotions spiked. She adjusted her cloak and headed toward the riverbank where the herbs grew. The deeper she walked, the more unease unfurled inside her wolf. A strange current threaded through the air, familiar, contradictory, impossible. The breeze shifted. A scent drifted across the forest, faint but unmistakable. Her wolf lunged upward, scraping her insides with recognition so fierce she nearly stumbled. "No," she whispered. "Not now, not again." But the scent thickened as if whoever carried it was moving closer. Aveline froze, breath sharp as bark cracked behind her. Someone had entered her path, someone who moved with the kind of certainty she remembered far too well. She didn't turn. Couldn't. A low voice, rough from disuse, broke the space between them. "Aveline!" Her pulse jolted. She knew that voice, knew that scent, knew the man she prayed she'd never face again. Damon had come back, and he was standing right behind her. Aveline forced herself to turn slowly, as if the ground weren't tilting beneath her. Damon stood a few paces away, framed by the curve of willow branches. Sunlight slipped between them and caught in his hair, longer now, wilder, as though he'd been living in the wind instead of among people. He looked different, but his eyes hadn't changed at all. Aveline's throat tightened. Her wolf surged so fast she had to lock her knees to keep from swaying. He watched her without blinking, chest rising with a measured steadiness she didn't trust. "You're really here," he murmured. "You shouldn't be." The words were blunt, quiet, but they steadied her spine. Damon's jaw flexed once, not the overused emotional cue, just a twitch of something he swallowed down. Your pack wouldn't be thrilled to see me wandering in, he said. I stayed off their paths. You shouldn't be in the territory at all. I'm not here to cause trouble. That doesn't matter. His posture dipped at her tone, a faint shift in his shoulders. Aveline, No, she cut in, sharper than intended. She stepped back, but too late. The breeze carried his scent to her in a warm, familiar wave. Pine, stormwater, something darker threaded beneath it now, something that made the fine hairs on her arms stand. Her wolf reacted instantly, claws scraping for release. She clenched her fists until her nails bit skin. Damon noticed. You're trembling. I'm not. And she wasn't, not exactly. Her body wasn't shaking, it was bracing. He stepped closer, not enough to touch her, but enough to crowd the air. Let me explain. Explain what? That you vanished after. She stopped. She would not hand him the memory. She would not let it rise. Damon's mouth opened, then closed again, as if the thing he wanted to say wasn't safe out loud. His gaze flicked just once to the base of her neck. Heat rushed up Aveline's throat. She lifted her chin, forcing the cloak in place. Don't look at it, she snapped, his voice roughened. I didn't expect you to keep it. I didn't keep anything, it just didn't fade. Because it wasn't a simple mark. She said nothing. Her silence was a wall. He couldn't cross it without breaking something inside her. Damon exhaled slowly. Aveline, I didn't want to leave. I didn't choose to leave. A sharp laugh escaped her before she could stop it. That's convenient. He didn't flinch at the bite in her voice. You think I'd walk away from you from that night? He paused, eyes searching hers. I searched for you when I had the chance to run. I didn't stop until... Stop. Her tone wasn't loud, but it carried a warning her wolf sharpened silently. A rustle behind them made them both turn. A patrol wolf padded between the pines, head lowered to sniff the ground. Aveline's breath caught not the banned phrase, simply a short, sharp intake, and she grabbed Damon's wrist before thinking. Move, she whispered. He followed without question as she pulled him behind a fallen tree, hidden by ferns. The patrol paused near the trail. One wrong sent shift and they'd be exposed. Damon leaned close enough that his breath warmed the edge of her cheek. You're protecting me, he whispered, bewildered. No, I'm protecting myself, she snapped under her breath. If they find you with me, she didn't finish. Consequences for secret ties were harsh, especially for an Omega, especially for one who disappeared months with no explanation. The patrol finally moved on, pause fading into the distance. Aveline released Damon's wrist as if burned. You should leave before someone else comes through. I can't. You can, you should now. Aveline, he said quietly, I came back because what's hunting me isn't far behind. Her heartbeat stuttered. He held her gaze, voice low, urgent. And if it finds me here, it won't stop with me. Aveline didn't respond at first. She needed a moment, just one, to find steady ground again. Damon's warning echoed through her mind, sharp and wrong, because he had never been the type to admit danger unless it was already scraping at his heels. What do you mean something's hunting you? She asked, keeping her voice low. Her hands remained at her sides, but her stance shifted, weight balanced as if preparing for impact. Damon scanned the trees, not her. I shouldn't talk out here. That's not an answer. Aveline, his tone dipped, heavy with unspoken things. It tracks scent, territory lines, heartbeat changes. If it's near, speaking its name might draw it. Her wolf pricked with attention, alert in a way that hurt. Aveline shook her head. No creature crosses pack borders without the council knowing. This one does. She hated the way her breath thinned, hated more that Damon sounded certain. Certainty meant experience. Experience meant he'd been running long enough for whatever it was to learn the shape of him. Fine, she said. Then give me something you can say. He hesitated only for a second, but the pause told her more than his words might. It has your scent, he said finally. Her stomach went cold. Not the forbidden phrase, just a sudden, sharp hollowing. How? I don't know. He rubbed the back of his hand against his mouth as if steadying a tremor. But I caught it last night, mixed with mine, wrong, like something pressing two scents together until they fused. Aveline stepped back, needing space to think. If that's true, you should be as far from me as possible. That's the problem. His gaze locked onto hers. It followed the trail here, to your border. You're bringing danger into my territory. I'm trying to stop it from reaching you. A bitter sound rose in her throat, almost a laugh. Funny, you weren't this protective when you walked away. Damon flinched this time, not dramatically, just a flicker around the eyes. You don't know the whole story. You didn't stay long enough to tell it. Wind threaded through the branches overhead, carrying the distant hum of pack voices from beyond the ridge. The gathering preparations were in full swing. Wolves from neighboring packs would arrive tonight. If a threat lingered nearby, elders would sense the disturbance. They always did, unless it was something new, something their laws didn't account for. Damon moved a step toward her. She stayed still, refusing to retreat. "I need you to trust me for a moment," he said. "I don't owe you that." "I'm not asking for everything," he replied, voice lowered. "Just enough to help keep you alive." Her wolf bristled, not at Damon, but at the idea of an unseen presence marking her path. Something stirring beyond the borders with her scent woven through it. Aveline had spent the last months hiding from the aftermath of one night. She didn't have room for a new threat clawing its way in. "Come to the riverbank," she said finally. "There's a hollow beneath the rocks, out of sight. You're willing to hear me? Don't mistake this for forgiveness." A shadow of a smile touched his mouth, bruised at the edges. "I wouldn't dare." She turned first, pushing aside branches as she headed down the slope. Damon followed a few steps behind, silent but not the same silence she remembered. This one carried tension, the kind that made the forest seem too narrow for both of them. As she neared the river, the sound of rushing water masked their footsteps. She crouched near the jutting stones and motioned him inside the narrow shelter where voices wouldn't travel far. Before either of them could speak, a sharp crack split the air somewhere upstream. Not a twig, not an animal, something heavier. Deliberate. Damon's head lifted instantly, wolf instincts sharpening his expression. "It found us." Aveline's pulse surged once. "Here!" Damon's voice was barely a whisper. "Run!" The moon hung low over the Silvercrest pack as dawn crept across the tree line, washing the forest in pale gold. Alara walked alone on the gravel path that led toward the training grounds, each step heavier than the last. She hated this place, hated how it reminded her of everything she wasn't allowed to become. Today, the warriors trained for the lunar trials, and she was supposed to watch from behind the fence like a powerless outsider. Her wolf growled inside her chest, pacing, pushing, wanting out. "Let me fight. Let me show them." But Alara clenched her jaw and forced it down. If anyone sensed her wolf again, Alpha Rowan would drag her to the medic wing for inspection, the same place where she'd spent half her childhood sedated. Her hands curled into fists as she approached the open field. Warriors sparred in pairs, dust clouds rose, growls echoed. Muscles rippled under sweat-soaked shirts. It was chaos, power, dominance, everything Alara should have been part of. Then her breath hitched. Rowan stood at the center. Alpha Rowan Blackthorn, her fated mate, her rejecter, her mistake. He barked orders, voice sharp and commanding, the kind of voice that shook weak wolves to their bones. His dark hair was damp with sweat, clinging to his forehead. His shoulders were broader than she remembered, powerful in a way that made something unwanted twist deep inside her. He turned and froze when he saw her. The world seemed to stop. His jaw tightened. His wolf, that massive beast she had only ever felt through the bond, surged to the surface, eyes flashing molten gold. A pulse shot through her chest, the mate bond snapping tight like a whip. Alara looked away first. She had to. "Why is she here?" One of the warriors muttered loud enough for Rowan to hear. "She doesn't even have a wolf." Alara kept walking, ignoring the sting. Another whisper. "Alpha should have banished her years ago." Rowan's growl cut through the air like a blade. "Enough!" The entire field went silent. Alara didn't turn around, but she felt his gaze burn into her back, heavy, conflicted, wrong. She reached the fence, leaned on it, forcing herself to breathe. She could handle whispers. She could handle stares. She had survived worse. But not this. Not Rowan watching her like he regretted every damn thing he'd ever done. "Ilar," she didn't let him finish. "Don't," she said without looking at him. "I'm just here to observe, not cause problems." His footsteps stopped behind her too close. "But your presence is a problem," Rowan said quietly. Her heart twisted painfully, but she didn't let it show. "Then don't look at me," she muttered and walked away. He didn't follow, but his wolf did. She felt its silent steps inside the bond, stalking her like a shadow she never asked for. And for the first time, she wondered if Rowan regretted rejecting her more than he regretted losing her. Alara didn't go home after leaving the training grounds. Home was just another place where she didn't belong. Instead, she walked deeper into the forest, following the thin trail that wound behind the old border towers. The air was cooler here, quieter. Moss softened her footsteps. Sunlight pierced through the branches like thin silver blades. Only out here could she breathe. Only out here could she pretend she wasn't a mistake. Her wolf stirred restlessly beneath her skin, too awake, too loud, too hungry. It was getting harder to keep it silent, harder to hide the thing everyone insisted she would never have. "You're not supposed to exist," she thought bitterly. "Not in me." A twig snapped behind her. She froze. Her senses sharpened suddenly, far sharper than a wolfless girl should have had. Her heart thudded, her palms tingled. Her wolf whispered one warning, not him. Alara spun. Rowan's beta Kale stepped from behind a tree, tall and sharp-featured, expression unreadable. Where Rowan's presence was a storm, Kale's was a blade, silent, precise, dangerous. Beta Patrol doesn't usually follow me, Alara said, crossing her arms. Kale didn't blink. Alpha asked me to check on you, her jaw clenched. I didn't ask for his concern. He knows, Kale replied calmly. Doesn't change the fact that he sent me. Heat rose to her cheeks, anger, humiliation, something else she refused to name. I was fine until you showed up. Kale's amber eyes flicked over her, assessing her too thoroughly for comfort. You're shaking. I'm not. Then she realized she was. A faint tremor in her fingers, a strange warmth buzzing beneath her skin. Her wolf was pacing fast, pressing hard against the surface. Kale's brows furrowed. Alara, what's happening to you? She backed up a step. Nothing. Go away. That's not an option. He approached, slow, cautious, as if she were something volatile. His gaze sharpened, like he was seeing something she couldn't hide anymore. Alara, he said softly, your eyes, they're glowing. Her breath stopped. No, she shook her head, panic rising. That's impossible. Kale moved closer, voice low. There's only one reason a wolf's eyes glow. Kale, don't. And it's when the wolf is trying to rise. Her pulse hammered. This couldn't be happening. Not here, not now. Not with Kale watching. If Rowan found out, Kale stepped closer, eyes wide with dawning realization. Alara, you do have a wolf. She stumbled back, dread choking her. It's not a wolf, she whispered. It's something else, something wrong. Kale reached out as if to steady her. Let me help, why? A violent pulse tore through her chest. Her wolf surged, claws scraping at the inside of her bones, teeth pressing against her skin as if trying to break free. Pain shot down her spine. Alara gasped, knees hitting the ground. Kale lunged forward. Alara! Don't touch me, she choked out. Her breath came in ragged bursts. The glowing beneath her skin brightened, too bright, too wild, too powerful. Kale cursed under his breath. I have to get Rowan. No, she screamed, grabbing his wrist with a strength she shouldn't have. Don't bring him. Kale froze. Her eyes lifted to his glowing, bright, unnatural silver. And Kale's voice cracked on one impossible sentence. Alara. That's not just a wolf inside you. He swallowed hard. That's an alpha wolf. The world spun around Alara in a blur of silver and shadow, an alpha wolf, inside her. No, that was impossible. Wolves like that didn't hide. They didn't stay silent for 18 years. They didn't belong to girls like her, girls everyone said were weak, wolfless, defective. Stop looking at me like that, she whispered, squeezing her eyes shut against Kale's stunned stare. Alara, his voice was barely a breath. This shouldn't be possible. Tell me something I don't know. She clutched her chest as another pulse of energy rippled outward, the forest leaves trembling from the force of it. Kale, go, please, I don't know how to control this. Kale crouched in front of her instead, his jaw tight. You don't have to control it, you just have to breathe. I am breathing, she snapped, her voice cracking as another jolt shot through her. And it's still happening. Her wolf stirred again, stronger, more aware, pushing against the boundaries of her skin like an animal waking from a long, furious sleep. Kale took her shoulders gently, steadying her. Alara, look at me. She forced her glowing eyes up. The forest reflected in Kale's gaze, terrified but determined. You are not wrong, he said quietly. And you're not dangerous. He swallowed. You're just becoming what you were always meant to be. A harsh, humorless laugh escaped her. I was meant to be nothing. No, his grip tightened. Someone made you believe that. Her breath hitched. Someone, Rowan, the pain inside her chest twisted sharply, anger, betrayal, longing all tangled together. Kale saw her expression change. Did Rowan know? No, she shook her head. If he did, he wouldn't have rejected me, he wouldn't have, her voice faltered. He wouldn't have tried to keep me small. Kale exhaled slowly. We don't know that. Yes, she whispered bitterly, we do. Another pulse tore through her. This time it was stronger, so strong the ground beneath her vibrated. Birds scattered through the trees. The wind picked up, swirling around them in a sudden, unnatural gust. Kale's eyes widened. Alara, your aura. Silver light erupted around her, faint at first, then brighter, swirling like mist made of moonlight. Her hair lifted in the wind, glowing strands brushing her cheeks. Alara's breath shook. Kale, I don't think I can stop this. He hesitated, just 1 second. Then he stood, placed himself between her and the direction of the pack. Then I'll stop anyone who tries to interfere. Her eyes widened. Kale, please, Rowan will feel this. He'll come. I know. And he'll think I'm losing control. He'll be wrong. Kale's voice hardened. And he'll go through me before he lays a hand on you. Alara stared at him, at the beta who had always followed Rowan's orders without question. At the warrior who now stood guard over her, shield up, eyes blazing with loyalty he was never supposed to give. "Kale," she whispered, her voice shaking, "why are you doing this?" He didn't look back at her. He kept his stance firm, shoulders squared, ready to fight his own alpha if needed. "Because," he said softly, "someone in this damn pack should have protected you." Before she could respond, a snarl ripped through the forest, shaking the branches. Rowan's snarl. And the moment Alara heard it, her wolf surged upward in a violent, possessive roar not of fear, but of challenge. Rowan's snarl rolled through the trees like a crack of thunder, raw, furious, unmistakably territorial. Alara staggered to her feet. The noise struck something primal inside her, something half awake and impatient. Her wolf rose with it, pacing beneath her skin, sharpening her senses until every leaf rustle vibrated through her bones. Kale moved a step closer, not touching her but anchoring her with his presence. "He's coming in fast." "I know." Her voice trembled, not with fear, something stranger. A pull, a recognition she didn't want but couldn't shut down. Rowan's scent hit her a heartbeat later, storm-drenched pine and something darker, that familiar, stubborn heat he always carried after training. It slid along her nerves like a memory she didn't ask for. Her knees nearly buckled. Kale caught her elbow lightly. "Easy." "I'm fine." That was a lie. Her pulse rushed so hard she could hear it. Branches snapped ahead, loud and deliberate. Rowan wasn't hiding his approach. He never did when he was angry. Alara lifted her chin, forcing steadiness into her posture even as the new wolf inside her pushed toward the sound, curious and defiant. "You don't have to face him alone," Kale murmured. "I do." Her words came out low. "He'll never stop if I hide behind someone." Kale hesitated, then nodded once. "Then I'm here if he crosses a line." The clearing brightened with the breeze, the last of the evening sun slipping between branches. She wiped her palms against her thighs, trying to ignore how they kept tingling, like her wolf was testing the strength of her skin. Then Rowan stepped into view. His eyes were already shifted, bright predatory gold, locking onto her with the accuracy of a strike. His chest rose in sharp, uneven breaths. Mud streaked his boots like he'd run straight through the riverbank. "Alara." Her name came out rough, almost feral. She didn't answer. Her wolf bristled beneath her skin, responding to the sound of him as if it had been waiting 18 years for it. Rowan's gaze flicked to Kale standing too close. His jaw flexed, shoulders drawing back in a barely restrained rage. "Move!" "No." Kale didn't flinch. Rowan inhaled once, slow and dangerous. "Kale, you're not thinking clearly." Rowan's stare snapped past him and locked on Alara again. "What did you do?" He stepped forward, voice thick with accusation he didn't bother hiding. "Your aura spiked across half the territory. What happened to you?" Alara's hands curled at her sides. "You make it sound like a crime." "Is it?" he shot back. "I've been trying to reach you since dawn. You went missing. Then this surge hit like a wild alpha waking for the first time. How am I supposed to ignore that? Maybe you shouldn't ask questions you don't want the answers to." His breath hitched, subtle but real. "Tell me." Branches whispered overhead. The air between them stretched thin, tight enough she could feel it pull along her ribs. She stepped forward, only one step, but Rowan reacted instantly like her movement tugged something buried inside him. "I shifted," she said finally. Rowan's expression ruptured, shock first, then something sharp and wounded beneath it. "That's not possible." "It happened." He shook his head once hard. "Alara, you've never had a wolf." "I thought that too." Her voice softened, but the ground felt unsteady beneath her feet. "Turns out everyone was wrong." A bird cried somewhere high in the trees. The moment held, taut and fragile. Rowan stared at her like the world he understood had tilted sideways. "Let me see her," he whispered. The request sliced through her. Her wolf surged, pressing forward against her skin in a flash of heat, recognition, instinct, ancient and irreversible. Kale tensed. Alara's throat tightened. "You don't get to ask that," she said quietly. Rowan's eyes darkened, not with anger, something far more dangerous. "Alara," he breathed. She reacted to my voice. Her pulse jumped, and her wolf, her impossible, furious wolf, growled softly from inside her chest. Rowan froze at the sound rumbling out of her, quiet, low, unmistakably wolf, not borrowed, not imagined, hers. His chest lifted in a sharp breath as if the air had turned too heavy to draw. "Alara," she recognized me. "That doesn't mean anything," she replied, though her voice wavered. She pressed her fist against her sternum, trying to steady the restless pulse of heat building there. Her wolf pushed again, eager, curious, irritated by Rowan's presence all at once. Rowan stepped closer. Kale shifted instantly, weight angled, hand near his belt where his blade usually rested. "Alpha, don't!" Rowan didn't even look at him. I'm not going to hurt her. That's not the problem, Kale shot back. You're agitated. She's unstable. You're making it worse. Alara's breath grew uneven. Rowan's scent storm scorched pine, warm and sharp, slid across her senses again, and her wolf reacted as though someone had thrown open a door she didn't know she had. Her knees weakened. She caught a tree trunk with one hand. Rowan's eyes tightened. You're struggling. Let me help. You are the problem, she managed, forcing the words out before the pressure inside her swallowed them. My wolf reacts to you like she's been trapped her whole life and you're the first thing she wants to tear into. He went still, eyes flickering with something uncertain. Tear into, or, don't you finish that sentence, she snapped, heat crawling up her neck. But Rowan had gone very quiet, and that quiet was dangerous. He studied her with the kind of focus he used on threats he didn't understand. Alara, he said softly, I felt you earlier when that surge hit. She frowned. What? I felt it in my spine, he murmured. Like someone yanked a cord inside me. I've never felt anything like it. Kale's gaze darted between them, tension sharpening his features. Alpha, you need to step back. That's not normal. It's not, Rowan agreed, voice low. But neither is any of this. Alara's wolf clawed upward, demanding release, demanding air, demanding him, not in affection, not in longing, but in a raw, instinctive challenge. Her fingers dug into the bark. I can't hold her much longer. Rowan's gaze softened in a way that made her stomach twist. Then let her speak. No, she shook her head hard. Not here, not with you this worked up. His eyes flicked over her face, searching. I'm not worked up, Kale huffed. You nearly tore down half the West Ridge looking for her. Alara's breath faltered. Rowan didn't deny it. Instead, he said quietly, I thought something happened to you. Something in her chest pulled taut. The wolf surged again, this time swift and sharp, an instinctual response that blurred her vision. Silver shimmered at the corners of her sight. Her nails lengthened just a little, tips catching the bark beneath her fingers. Rowan's voice dropped to a murmur. Alara, look at me. She forced her gaze up. His eyes were neither angry nor cold. They burned with confusion, guilt, and something that felt dangerously close to recognition. Let her rise, Rowan whispered. If she's yours, she'll listen. She's not listening to anyone. Alara's breath hitched. She's furious. Why? The answer hit her like a blow she didn't expect. Because she heard you reject me, she whispered, and she didn't understand why. Rowan flinched just barely, but enough to make her wolf growl again. Kale's jaw tightened. Alpha, that's enough. But Rowan didn't respond. His focus stayed locked on Alara, something unraveling behind his eyes, something that looked like regret clawing its way to the surface. Alara. He took one slow step toward her, voice rough. I made a mistake that night. Her breath caught, not in shock, but in the crushing rush of anger her wolf sent slamming through her system. A tremor ran through her limbs. The forest dimmed around the edges. Her wolf surged not fully, not safely, but violently enough that the air rippled around her. Rowan moved without thinking. Don't touch her, Kale barked, but it was too late. Rowan reached her first, catching her arms as her knees buckled. And the moment his skin met hers, the world detonated. Silver light flashed. Heat burst through her spine. Her wolf roared, and Rowan staggered back like something inside him answered. The shockwave rattled the clearing. Leaves spiraled upward. The air pulsed as if the forest itself had a heartbeat. Rowan braced an arm against a tree, head bowed, breath ragged. Alara staggered back, hands shaking not from fear, but from the jarring force of her wolf pushing too hard, too fast. Kale reached for her and stopped halfway, uncertain. Alara, talk to me. What just happened? She swallowed, unable to tear her gaze from Rowan. He was staring at his own hands as though they no longer belonged to him. The veins along his arms glowed faintly, pale threads of light flickering beneath his skin before fading again. I don't know, she whispered. When he touched me, my wolf, she reacted. Reacted, Kale echoed. Alara didn't answer because she didn't have the words for the thing that slammed through her. It wasn't pain, it wasn't recognition. It felt like impact, collision, like two forces that had never been meant to meet finally crashing together. Rowan straightened slowly, golden eyes fixing on her with a new intensity. Alara, his voice was hoarse, strained. Your wolf didn't just flare, she pushed into mine. Kale's head snapped toward him. That isn't possible unless, Rowan cut him a warning look. Alara's pulse stumbled. Unless what? Rowan shook his head, refusing to say it. You need to breathe, back up, slow things down before she breaks out again. She's not breaking out, Alara argued, pressing a hand against her ribs. She's trying to understand something. And you think I'm not? Rowan's control slipped for a moment, just enough for frustration to crack through. You appear in the forest with a wolf you were never supposed to have, and suddenly she's clawing at a bondi. He stopped. Too late. Kale stepped forward. Bond, one word loaded. Rowan's jaw tensed hard, a muscle ticking beneath his cheek. Alara stared at him, cold prickles running along her spine. What bond? He didn't speak. Not until she took a step toward him, one cautious step, and her wolf stirred, curiosity rippling through her senses like a warning hum. Rowan's breath hitched. Alara. Something in me recognized something in you, he admitted, each word dragged out like it physically hurt. I don't know what it is, I've never felt anything like it, not even. He cut himself off again. Not even with what? She pushed, voice low. He didn't answer, but the silence was an answer in itself. Kale's eyes narrowed. Rowan, say it. I'm not guessing out loud, Rowan snapped. Not when I could be wrong, not when it could put her at risk. Alara felt heat push up her throat, anger, confusion, and something sharper that she didn't want to acknowledge. You should have thought about risk before you rejected me, she muttered. The words hit him like a physical blow. His shoulders pulled tight, and for once he didn't hide the reaction. Alara, if you think I did that because you were weak. Don't, she cut in quietly. Don't rewrite that night. A minute's shift in the wind carried their scents across each other again. His storm and smoke, her new silver-tinged warmth. Her wolf lifted her head inside her, not gently this time, but with a brazen, probing curiosity directed straight at Rowan. He steadied himself against a tree. She's trying to read me. She doesn't trust you, Alara said. Rowan let out a sharp exhale. Then she and I finally agree on something. Kale pinched the bridge of his nose. This is spiraling. Both of you step apart before you trigger another surge. Alara didn't move. Rowan didn't either. There was something unfinished in the air, raw, humming, dangerous. Alara, Rowan said softly, I need to know something. She braced herself. What? When she rose inside you, did she look at me first? Her chest tightened. She didn't want to remember the blurry flashes in her mind, but she did. Yes, she whispered. Rowan closed his eyes for a second, a subtle shudder rolling down his spine. Kale cursed under his breath. That's not normal. Rowan opened his eyes again, bright, searching, as if he were piecing together something he never thought possible. Alara, he said, voice roughened by something like fear. How long has she been trying to surface? Alara swallowed. Yesterday, during training, and today she forced her way through. Rowan stared at her like he was seeing her for the first time, really seeing her. And then, without warning, his expression shifted. Sharp. Alert. He lifted his head, scenting the air. A beat later, Kale did the same. What is it? Alara whispered, heart thudding. Kale's hand drifted toward his belt. Rowan's eyes narrowed. We're not alone. Rowan's warning dropped into the clearing like a stone sinking through still water. Alara stiffened as the forest around them changed, quiet but not peaceful. The type of quiet that felt curated, intentional. A stillness that didn't belong to wolves. Kale moved first. His stance shifted, weight balanced, eyes scanning the tree line with a soldier's precision. North Ridge, he murmured. Something off. Rowan didn't respond. His senses stretched outward, shoulders rising with a slow inhale. A faint growl curled at the back of his throat, not directed at her this time, but at the unseen presence tightening around them. Alara's new senses flared in recognition. She picked up it too, not a scent. A lack of one, an oddly clean, metallic void in the air. Wolf didn't like it. The energy under her skin sharpened, fur standing metaphorically on end, pacing with restless warning. Rowan snapped his attention toward her. You smell it. Yes, her voice came out low, focused. It feels wrong. His eyes hardened with grim confirmation. Not pack, not neighboring territory either. Kale shifted a step closer to Alara without looking at her, protective on instinct. She almost stepped away, not wanting to be shielded, but her wolf tugged her back. Not out of fear, out of strategy. She didn't know her limits yet, and rushing forward would only prove everyone else right. For a long beat, the forest held its breath. A twig snapped. Not far. Rowan moved before thought could catch him. One smooth, predatory step, placing his body angled between Alara and the sound, not blocking her, but creating a barrier he could pivot around at a moment's notice. Show yourself, he called, voice edged with warning. You've crossed into Alpha Rowan's territory. Nothing, then a second sound, this time deliberate. Leaves parted. A figure stepped between the trees. Hale, the patrol captain. Rowan's anger flickered instantly. Why are you off boundary? You had no assignment on this side. Hale glanced between them, taking in Rowan's posture, Kale's tense readiness, and Alara's half-shifted energy shimmering faintly around her. His jaw tightened. We found tracks. What kind? Kale asked. Hale didn't answer immediately. His gaze returned to Alara, and something uneasy flickered behind his eyes as if he didn't know whether to bow or run. Alara folded her arms, keeping her expression steady. "Say it," Hale exhaled. "Rogue 1, maybe 2. Rowan's body stilled in a way Alara recognized, not fear but a specific kind of readiness that came only when violence felt inevitable. "How far?" Rowan asked. "Close enough to smell the river," Hale replied. "Fresh prints, deep ones." Alara's wolf snarled silently inside her, pressing upward in a burst of primal instinct. Rowan shot her a sharp look. "Don't shift." "I wasn't going to," she muttered. She was lying, her wolf was. Hale caught it. "Alara, not until we know what we're dealing with." But Hale wasn't finished. His gaze returned to Rowan, voice lowering. "They weren't just passing through, they stopped near the grove." He hesitated, then added, "Where the surge happened." Alara's stomach turned. Rowan's eyes went cold. "I sensed her." Hale dipped his head. "It's likely," Hale swore under his breath. "Of all days," Rowan cut him off. "You're sure it's Rogue?" "Yes, Alpha." Hale's tone turned grave. "And something else." Rowan's brows drew together. "What?" Hale swallowed. "Their prints, one set was dragging." Alara felt her wolf go silent. Listening, Rowan's jaw hardened. "Injured?" "No," Hale shook his head. "Dragged like someone was being pulled." A beat of heavy silence. Hale's voice dropped. "That means a kidnapping." "Rogues don't take prisoners," Rowan said. Alara stepped forward before anyone could stop her. "So they weren't dragging prey?" Hale nodded grimly. "No, they were dragging someone alive." Alara's breath shook. Rowan's gaze snapped to her sharp. "You're not going near the river." "I wasn't planning to." That was a lie too. Her wolf was already pushing toward the scent trail Hale had carried with him, curiosity and anger intertwining. Rowan stepped closer, lowering his voice. "This isn't your fight." The words struck her harder than she expected. Her wolf bristled violently. "Not yours, not your place, not your right." The same words she'd lived under her whole life. Alara forced a slow inhale. "Everything changed yesterday. You don't get to decide what is or isn't my fight anymore." Rowan met her gaze, and something in his expression shifted. Not softening, recalculating. Hale cleared his throat. "Alpha, there's something else." Rowan turned. "What now?" Hale worked his jaw before answering. "The trail leading from the grove, it smelled like fear. Not human fear, wolf fear." Rowan's eyes sharpened. "A shifter?" "Yes. Who?" Hale hesitated for a long moment before finally saying it. "Lyra," Hale cursed. Rowan's shoulders locked. And Alara, her wolf rose so sharply she almost doubled over, a surge of silver light sparking under her skin. Hale reached for her again. "Alara, easy." But she didn't hear him. Because Lyra was the one person in this pack who had ever looked at her and offered something other than pity or judgment. Rowan spoke first, voice cold and clipped. "Hale, guide us, we're moving now." Then he turned to Alara, eyes blazing. "You're staying behind." Her wolf lunged. Rowan didn't speak at first. He just stared at her, like she was something impossible, something dangerous, something he desperately wanted to understand but was terrified to touch. Alara swallowed, lifting her chin even though her insides trembled. "Say it," she whispered. "Whatever you're thinking, just say it." Rowan's chest lifted slowly. "You," he said quietly, "shouldn't exist." Her stomach dropped. "But you do," he continued, stepping closer, "and it's tearing apart everything I thought I knew." The clearing seemed to tilt around her. "When you rejected me," she said, voice soft but steady, "did you know what you were doing? Did you know what it would turn me into?" "No," Rowan snapped, anger flashing through his expression, anger at himself, not her. "I thought you were wolfless. I thought the bond was a mistake. He shut his eyes, jaw tight. "I was wrong." Alara laughed once, sharp, breathless. "That's an understatement." "Alara," Rowan's voice gentled, but she took a step back. "I needed you," she whispered. "I needed anyone, but instead you banished me with a sentence. And now suddenly, now that I'm not weak anymore, now you care." Rowan flinched. "I cared before," he said. "I just didn't know how." She stared at him. For a moment neither spoke. The forest breathed around them like it was listening. Finally, Rowan took another step forward. "Alara, your wolf, what I saw today, she's not normal." "Nothing about me is normal." She said it like a challenge, but Rowan didn't look away. He reached out slowly, cautiously, toward the glowing mark at her throat. "I felt her rage," he murmured. "I felt her power. And I swear to the moon, if anyone else in the pack sensed what I did." He swallowed hard. "They'll fear you." Alara's heart thudded, but not with fear, with something sharper, stronger. "And what about you?" she asked softly. "Do you fear me too?" His hand hovered inches from her skin. "No," the word was a vow. "I'm afraid of losing you again." Her breath hitched. "You don't get to say that." "I do." Rowan's eyes burned. Because whatever you think of me, whatever you believe, my wolf never let go. Her throat tightened. Then why didn't you fight it? She whispered. Rowan's voice dropped to a ragged confession. Because I thought I was protecting you, she froze. From what? Rowan finally closed the distance between them. His hand didn't touch her but hovered at her cheek, warm despite never making contact. Alara, he said softly, what's inside you isn't just a wolf. The wind stilled. Even the trees seemed to lean in. It's something older, Rowan whispered. Something the elders swore died out centuries ago. Alara felt her pulse thrum like a drumbeat under her skin. What are you saying? Rowan met her gaze with devastating certainty. I'm saying you are the first lunar born in over 600 years. Her knees nearly gave out. Lunar born, myth, legend, a wolf blessed or cursed directly by the moon herself. Rowan, she breathed, that's not possible. His eyes glowed with truth. It is, and it means your power hasn't even started. Alara's heart pounded. Her skin tingled. Her wolf lifted her head inside her, awake and listening. And, Rowan added quietly, it means someone hid you for a reason. Her breath stopped entirely. Someone, Rowan whispered, didn't want the world to know what you are. The forest went silent. And for the first time in her life, Alara realized the truth was bigger, darker, and far more dangerous than any rejection. Alara couldn't breathe. Lunar born. The word echoed inside her chest like a pulse of ancient thunder, vibrating through bone and blood. Her wolf didn't deny it. She lifted her head, proud and fierce, as though she'd been waiting for someone to speak it aloud. Rowan watched her carefully, every muscle in his body coiled tight. Say something, he whispered. Alara forced out a breath. You're telling me I'm a myth. You're telling me the myth just stood in front of my entire pack, glowing like a fallen star, Rowan countered, voice low but trembling with something raw. So yes, Alara, I'm telling you that you, his throat worked, are the first lunar born in centuries. She shook her head. But I had no wolf. Everyone said I had no wolf. Because someone was suppressing her, Rowan said, stepping toward her. You weren't wolfless, Alara, you were bound. Her breath stumbled. Bound by what? What? Rowan corrected softly. Who? A chill cut down her spine. Rowan's voice dropped even lower, dangerously low. Your wolf woke today because something broke the seal or someone. Alara's pulse hammered. Rowan, who would bind a lunar born, he hesitated, too long. Rowan, her eyes hardened. Tell me. There are only two kinds of people who would do that, he said slowly. Those who feared what you could become, his jaw clenched, and those who wanted to control it. Her stomach twisted. Think someone from the pack. I think, Rowan interrupted gently, that whoever hid your power did it before you ever took your first breath. And that means this goes deeper than the pack. Alara's legs weakened. She backed into a tree to steady herself. Why didn't anyone tell me? Because if the elders knew, they would have taken you away. Rowan approached her, careful, steady, as if she might shatter. Lunar born aren't trained. They're used. She looked up sharply. And you're only telling me this now. Rowan's expression darkened with something like guilt. I wasn't sure until today. And before today, she whispered. When you rejected me, Rowan flinched like she'd struck him. Alara, if I had known. No, she pressed her palm to his chest, stopping him from stepping closer. You don't get to rewrite what happened. He closed his eyes, breathing harshly through his nose. Alara, I'm trying to protect you. You already didn't. Her voice cracked, but it wasn't weak. It was honest. Rowan's eyes opened, blazing with regret. I know, and that's why I'm not leaving you again, not now. Alara's heart stumbled, but before she could respond, a twig snapped. Another, then a third. Rowan immediately shifted, stepping in front of her, shoulders broad, muscles tight, aura snapping into alpha command. Alara, he murmured, stay behind me. But Alara felt it too, a presence in the forest, cold and watching, too intelligent, too familiar. Branches parted. A figure stepped into the clearing. And Alara's breath froze. Not a warrior, not a hunter, not an elder. It was the one person she never expected to see again. The person whose betrayal had shaped her entire life. Who knew every lie she'd ever been told. Who had vanished the night her wolf should have awakened. Alara, Rowan whispered, stunned. That's, I know. Her voice shook. Because standing in front of her was her mother, alive, unaged, and glowing with the exact same lunar light simmering under Alara's skin. For a heartbeat, the forest forgot how to breathe. Alara stared at the woman emerging from the trees, dark hair unruffled by wind, a soft silver radiance drifting from her skin like dust stirred under moonlight. She looked exactly as Alara remembered from the dim, scattered edges of childhood. Not older, not weary, untouched by years. Her mother's eyes found her first. Something ancient flickered there, relief, grief, and a fierce protectiveness that didn't match a woman who had vanished without a trace. "Alara," she whispered. The sound of her name in that voice, gentle, melodic, painfully familiar, hit hard enough that Alara's knees nearly buckled. Rowan reacted before she did. He stepped partly in front of Alara, shoulders raised in silent warning. "You're supposed to be dead." Her mother's gaze shifted to him, unfazed. "I know what the record says." "Record," Alara croaked. "That's all you have to say." Her mother took one slow step forward, palms open, as though approaching a wounded animal. "There wasn't a moment I didn't think of you." Alara's wolf surged upward, claws scraping at the inside of her skin, not in anger but in recognition. A tether she'd never understood tightened sharply, as though it had been waiting for this exact moment to snap awake. Alara swallowed hard. "Where were you?" Rowan's hand brushed her elbow, steadying, grounding, but she didn't need it. Her mother's eyes softened. "Somewhere I could no longer be found." "That's not an answer," Alara shot back. A thin breath escaped the woman's lips. "Because the truth will hurt more than my absence." Alara blinked. "Hurt more? You left me to be treated like a mistake." Her mother's composure cracked at the edges. "I left because they were coming for you." "Who?" Rowan's voice carried alpha steel now, low, unyielding. "The elders." "No," her mother shook her head. "They were only pawns." Alara's pulse spiked, but she kept her tone sharp. "Stop speaking like you're telling a prophecy. Just say it plainly." Her mother hesitated, not out of uncertainty, but out of fear of the effect her answer would have. "Alara, the night you were born, the moon sworn marked you. Lunar-born children are rare, but you," her voice trembled. "You carry more than just a wolf, you carry inheritance." Alara stiffened. "Inheritance of what?" Before her mother could speak, a distant howl cut through the trees, low, resonant, wrong. Rowan's head snapped toward the sound, eyes narrowing, senses sharpened. "That's not one of mine," he muttered. Her mother tensed. "They've found us." "Who?" Alara insisted. Her mother's gaze returned to her, filled with apology and urgency. "The ones I've been running from since the night you came into this world." Branches rustled violently behind them. Alara's wolf surged forward, instincts flashing hot and bright. Rowan moved instantly, taking defensive stance, aura spreading like a shield. "Alara," he murmured, "don't panic." But she wasn't panicking. She was remembering. A cradle. A woman's shout. A roar outside the window. Hands pulling her away from warmth and moonlight. A memory she never knew she had cracked open inside her. Her mother whispered, voice barely holding together, "Your father's not dead either." The forest went dead silent as the truth vibrated through the air like a struck chord. And then the trees split open. Something powerful stepped into the clearing. The creature emerging through the trees was no ordinary wolf. It moved with a heavy, precise rhythm, each step sinking into the earth as though the ground bowed beneath it. Its coat wasn't any natural color. It shimmered between obsidian and storm gray, as if shadows and cloudlight wrestled across its fur. But its eyes, those were the worst part. They glowed the same deep silver that simmered beneath Alara's skin. Her mother inhaled sharply. Rowan's aura expanded instantly, protective and sharp enough to raise the hairs on Alara's arms. "That's not possible," Rowan whispered. Alara couldn't look away. The wolf stared at her as though it had known her for a lifetime. Her mother stepped forward, anguish tightening around her soft features. "It followed me." Rowan didn't lower his stance. "You should have warned us. There wasn't time." "That thing is tracking her," Rowan snapped. "You brought it right to her." Her mother's eyes flashed, not with power, but with guilt she'd tried to outrun. "It was coming anyway." Alara felt caught between their tension, but the wolf never moved its gaze from her. Something in her chest responded, an ancient tug that wasn't mate bond deep but blood deep, a pulse that hummed in her bones. Her inner wolf lifted her head in recognition. Ours. Alara pressed a hand against her sternum. "Why does it look at me like that?" Her mother didn't answer. Rowan stepped in front of her again. "Alara, don't get closer." She hadn't realized she'd taken a step forward until he stopped her. The wolf exhaled, a low rumbling sound, half growl, half call. Its massive body lowered slightly, not in submission, but in acknowledgement. "Alara," her mother murmured, voice thickening with emotion, "you're feeling the bond." "What bond?" Rowan shot her a sharp look. "If you say mate—" "No," her mother cut him off. "Not that, this is something older." She lifted her chin, face pale in the moonlight. "Blood answers blood." Lara's heartbeat stuttered. "Blood?" She searched her mother's expression. "What do you mean, what is it?" Her mother looked at the wolf again, eyes shining with dread. "That is not a rogue, it's not a beast set loose by the elders, it's something far more dangerous." "Alara," Rowan murmured, "step back." But she couldn't. The wolf's presence seeped into her senses, metallic, familiar, like a scent she should have known all her life but only now recognized. Her mother closed her eyes once, bracing herself. "That wolf," she whispered, "is tied to your father." The world narrowed to a single breath. "Explain," Rowan demanded. Alara's stomach twisted so sharply she had to steady herself against the nearest tree, her father. A ghost she'd been told never existed beyond the night he disappeared. She'd imagined him faceless, voiceless, a quiet wound she didn't poke. But now a living creature stood in front of her carrying his scent, his energy, his something she didn't have a name for. Her mother stepped toward the wolf. "It's not him, it's what was left after the curse." Curse. The word struck like a blade. Rowan stiffened. Curses aren't real. Her mother didn't bother arguing. She simply lifted her hand toward the wolf and it didn't flinch, its massive head dipped, almost reverent. "Alara," she continued, voice soft, "your father didn't die, he was taken and bound and turned." Alara's breath thinned as her throat closed around the rising dread. Turned into what? Her mother's eyes shone with tears she didn't let fall. "Into this, into the thing that's been watching you your entire life." The wolf huffed, a heavy, sorrowful sound that sent hot pressure behind Alara's eyes. Rowan's voice dropped. "Why would anyone do that to him?" Her mother swallowed hard. "Because your father refused to hand Alara over the night she was born." Alara's bones went cold. "You mean," she forced the words out, "they tried to steal me." Her mother nodded once. The forest trembled as another howl rose, not from the creature in front of them, but from deeper within the woods. This one was sharper, closer, hunting. Rowan immediately shifted his stance. "We're not alone." Her mother stepped back toward Alara, protective instinct strong enough to reshape her whole posture. "We have to move, you're not ready to face them." "Alara is staying with me," Rowan said, voice firm. Her mother looked at him, something unreadable flickering in her gaze. "And I appreciate that, but this is bigger than your pack, bigger than your rules." Another howl sliced through the forest. Rowan's jaw tensed. "Move first, argue later." But Alara didn't move yet. She looked at the wolf, her father's wolf, or the twisted echo of him, and felt a pull she couldn't escape. "Is he in there?" she whispered. "The real him," her mother hesitated. "Alara, I don't know." A branch cracked behind them. Rowan grabbed Alara's arm. "We run." And the wolf, the cursed creature tied to her blood, turned and ran with them. Branches tore at Alara's arms as they ran, Rowan pulling her through the dense underbrush with sharp, sure movements. Her mother kept close on her other side, glancing back every few seconds as if expecting shadows to peel into shapes. The cursed wolf, her father's wolf, kept pace effortlessly, silent despite its size. Its presence wasn't comforting, but it wasn't predatory either. More like a shield that didn't know how to stop being one. "Alara, keep low," Rowan ordered, voice tight. "Tell me who's following us," she shot back, breath uneven. "I don't know yet," Rowan said without slowing, "but they're using a formation, they're trained." Her mother's voice cut in, brittle with certainty. "They're hunters." Rowan's pace faltered for a split second. "Those aren't real. They're real enough to chase your Luna to be through half the forest. Keep moving." Alara almost stumbled. "Luna to Rowan, did she just—" "Not the time," Rowan snapped, heat rushing beneath his words. Her mother's faint smile carried exhaustion instead of humor. "I'm stating what your wolf already knows." Rowan didn't answer. He didn't need to. His grip on Alara tightened slightly and his aura surged outward like a defensive wall. The forest thinned, opening to a narrow stream glinting under moonlight. Rowan slowed just long enough to assess the terrain. "We cross here. They'll bottleneck behind us." Her mother shook her head. "No, hunters don't bottleneck, they flank." As if summoned by her words, two figures burst from the right side of the stream, swift, coated in dark ash like markings, eyes glinting with predatory precision. They moved with an unnatural fluidity, no wolf scent, no pack signature. They weren't shifters. They were something else entirely. Rowan shoved Alara behind the broad trunk of a fallen tree. "Stay down." The cursed wolf lunged with a guttural snarl, an echo of something that still remembered rage, protection, loyalty. One hunter dodged with a flicker of impossible speed. The other drove a silver-edged blade across the wolf's flank. Alara felt the pain in her own ribs, sharp, searing, as if the creature's blood carried her name. Her mother leapt forward, hands glowing with pale lunar light. "Back!" The glow struck the nearest hunter like a physical force, sending him spiraling into the water. It hissed when he hit the stream, steam rising. Rowan darted in, shifting mid-motion. Bones cracked, fur erupted, and in a heartbeat he was the massive dark gold wolf Alara had grown up watching from a distance, impossibly strong, impossibly fast. He collided with the second hunter, slamming him into a boulder. Alara stood before she realized she'd moved. Her mother grabbed her wrist. "Alara, no. I can help." "You're not trained." "My wolf is done hiding," Alara said, voice shaking but certain. A third hunter appeared behind them, blade glinting toward her back. The cursed wolf intercepted, its body crashing into the hunter with brutal force. They tumbled through the brush in a violent blur. Alara's breath hitched. "Is he—" "Focus," her mother insisted. "They want you alive." "That's supposed to calm me," Alara shot back. Rowan's wolf snapped his jaws around a hunter's wrist, bone crunching loudly. The man didn't scream, just twisted unnaturally, trying to wrench free. Something about the way he moved tightened a knot inside Alara's stomach. It was too smooth, too coordinated. These weren't rogues or hired blades. These were soldiers. One hunter broke away from Rowan's wolf and lunged at Alara. Her mother stepped in front of her, ready to strike. But the hunter didn't attack. He halted exactly 3 feet away, then dropped to one knee. Everyone froze. Even Rowan's wolf hesitated, claws digging into the earth. The kneeling hunter lifted his head, eyes glowing with unnatural, swirling silver, mimicking the curse that lived in the creature tied to her father. He spoke with a voice that didn't belong to a mortal throat. "Alara Varin," he intoned. "Daughter of the moon's sworn line, heir of the eclipse pact." Every word scraped against her skin, as if something ancient recognized her and reached out. Rowan shifted back partially, just enough to speak through barely formed human lips. "What do you want with her?" The hunter's gaze didn't move from Alara. "You carry what was denied to us," he murmured. "What was stolen the night you were born?" Alara took a step back instinctively. "What was stolen?" she asked. The hunter reached out his hand not to strike but to gesture reverently. "Your light." Her mother stiffened beside her. The hunter continued, voice deepening as if layered with echoing tones. "Bring her, the council awaits, the prophecy is waking." Rowan growled low, vibrating the ground beneath them. "She's not going anywhere with you." The hunter finally looked at him, expression empty but carrying a chilling certainty. "She has no choice. The mark has already begun to surface." Alara blinked. "What mark?" Her mother exhaled shakily. "Alara, show me your wrist." Confused, Alara pushed back her sleeve and froze. A faint crescent, pale, luminescent, had formed under her skin, shimmering like newborn moonlight. The hunter bowed his head. "It begins!" The crescent shimmered faintly beneath Alara's skin, delicate yet undeniable, like moonlight trapped inside her veins. She stared at it as if it might vanish if she blinked too hard. But it didn't fade. It pulsed. Once, twice, as if answering something calling from far beyond the trees. Rowan reached her side before anyone else, half-shifted still, human with streaks of fur rippling along his arms, fangs not fully retracted. His instinct was closer to the surface than she'd ever seen. "Alara, when did that appear?" His voice sounded scraped raw. "I don't know," she whispered. "It wasn't there this morning." Her mother swore under her breath, a language Alara didn't recognize, older and sharper than anything spoken in their pack. She grabbed Alara's wrist, turning it gently to study the mark. Her fingers trembled. "It's too early," she muttered. "You weren't supposed to manifest until your 100th moon." "My what?" Alara yanked her hand back. "Start explaining, because I'm done being kept in the dark." Before her mother could answer, the kneeling hunter lifted his head. "The eclipse seal awakens only when the bloodline is threatened." Rowan growled again, stepping in front of Alara, this time fully human, though his eyes still glowed. "You don't get to speak to her." "We speak to what she represents," the hunter replied simply. Alara's skin prickled. "What do I represent?" "Balance," he murmured. "Or ruin, depending on who reaches you first." Another rustle snapped through the trees, lighter than the hunter's, quicker. Rowan instantly shielded her again, body tensed for another fight. The cursed wolf stepped out instead, limping slightly from the earlier cut. Its silver-scorched eyes landed immediately on Alara's wrist, pupils tightening. A low rumble vibrated its chest, not menace, recognition. Alara swallowed. "Mother, what is the eclipse seal?" Her mother hesitated, not long, but long enough that the truth clearly carried weight she wished she didn't have to reveal. "It's a birthright," she finally said. "One you were never meant to activate without guidance." "Guidance from who?" "From me, from your father, from the ancient line you belong to." Alara stared. "You mean the line you hid from me?" The woman flinched. "To protect you." Rowan turned toward her mother, voice clipped. "She needs answers, not riddles. If she's marked, this affects my entire pack." "It affects far more than your pack," her mother shot back, exhaustion sharpening her tone. "This isn't just politics, Alpha, it's prophecy, blood prophecy." Alara's pulse stuttered. What does the seal do? Her mother opened her mouth, but the hunter spoke first. It chooses. Rowan spun and slammed the hunter into the dirt with a single strike of his foot. You speak again and I tear your throat out. The hunter didn't resist. His strange eyes flicked to Alara from the ground. You cannot run from a mark tied to celestial oath. Watch me, Rowan growled. Alara stepped forward. Why me? Why was this mark hidden? Her mother exhaled, shoulders sagging. 'Cause your father and I broke a pact to keep you alive. Alara felt the forest tilt, not physically, just the sharp shift in what she thought she knew. Rowan's voice dropped to a dangerous quiet. What pact? Her mother looked at him, then at the cursed wolf, the hollow echo of her mate. The Eclipse Pact, she said softly. A blood oath made generations ago. A promise that the next moon's sworn child would be given to the council on their 18th birthday. Ice flooded Alara's stomach. Given, she repeated. Like a sacrifice. More like a weapon, the hunter corrected gently. Rowan's snarl shook the leaves above them. Alara took a shaky step back. So you ran with me to keep them from claiming whatever this seal is, her mother nodded. And your father paid for that choice. Alara looked at the cursed wolf, her father's wolf, its huge body trembling slightly, not with fear, but with what looked like effort, as if it fought against something inside. What happens if the council gets me now? She whispered. The hunter smiled, a thin, reverent curve. Then destiny unfolds. Rowan grabbed him by the collar. Answer her. This time, the hunter's voice softened as though addressing a queen not yet crowned. They will bind your power, awaken the full seal, and use you to break the barrier that keeps the old ones sleeping. A chill carved down Alara's spine. Her mother's voice nearly broke. That's why we hid you, why your wolf was suppressed, why they lied about your heritage. They knew what you were. They'd have taken her, Rowan finished. His hand slid into Alara's, not thinking, just instinct. She didn't pull away. For a moment, a strange, solid quiet settled between them, something fierce, protective, unspoken. But then another howl boomed in the distance. Deeper, heavier, commanding, the hunter's head snapped up. They've found us again. Rowan released him, stepping toward Alara. We have to move. Move where? She demanded. Anywhere that isn't here, he said. And until we figure out that mark. He lifted her wrist gently, staring at the crescent as though it was both terrifying and precious. You don't leave my side. The cursed wolf huffed once, agreement. Her mother nodded. We go to the old sanctuary. It's the only place they won't breach. Alara swallowed and touched the glowing crescent. For the first time, it pulsed in answer. Rowan didn't let go of her hand. Not when they crossed the threshold into the old healer's den. Not when the heavy door shut behind them. Not even when Alara tried, weakly, to pull away. His grip was warm, firm, steady. The kind of hold that said, I'm not losing you again, even if you fight me. Alara sat on the low wooden bench while Rowan paced once, twice, then finally stopped in front of her, jaw locked tight. Let me see your side. It's fine, she muttered. It's bleeding through your clothes. She flinched, not because of pain, but because of the way his voice sounded. Grounded, controlled. But not calm, not even close. Rowan knelt in front of her, the alpha knelt, her breath stuttered. He lifted the hem of her shirt just enough to reveal the shallow slash from the earlier attack. His fingers brushed her skin, light, careful, too careful, like she was something precious he wasn't sure he had the right to touch. Alara's pulse spiked. It's nothing serious. Rowan didn't look away from the wound. It shouldn't have happened at all. It wasn't your fault. His head snapped up, disbelief flashing in his eyes. Everything involving you is my responsibility. That's not how mate bonds work, she whispered. He rose slowly, standing close enough that she could feel the heat radiating off him. His voice dropped to something raw and unguarded. Alara, if I had lost you today, he stopped, breath roughening. I would have torn that entire forest apart. Her wolf pressed against her ribs, aching at the sound of it. Rowan exhaled shakily. I don't want to be the alpha who only protects you after danger hits. I want to be the one who stops it before it finds you. Her throat tightened. Rowan, he cut in gently, too gently. I need you safe. Not because you're fragile moon above, you're the strongest person I've ever seen, but because losing you is the only thing that terrifies me. The confession settled over her like heat and stormlight. Alara looked away, suddenly unable to hold his gaze. You can't keep guarding me like this. I'm not guarding you, Rowan said. I'm choosing you. Her heart lurched. He brushed a thumb across her cheek without thinking, then froze, as if realizing how intimate the gesture was. Alara, his voice lowered to something intimate and dangerous. You don't have to want me back, you don't have to accept the bond, but don't ask me to pretend I don't feel it. Her breath stilled. The room felt too small, too warm, too charged. Rowan, she whispered. He didn't move away. Say something, anything. She finally met his eyes, gold-rimmed with fire, conflict, longing, and fear. Not fear for her, fear of losing her. Alara inhaled shakily. I'm not rejecting you. Rowan's breath left him in one sharp, silent rush. But, she continued softly, I'm not ready to accept the bond either, not when everything around us is falling apart. Rowan nodded once, slow, deliberate, a warrior accepting a blow to the chest. I can wait, he said quietly. Just let me stay by your side while you decide. For once, she didn't argue. For once, letting him stay didn't feel like weakness. It felt like breathing. But the moment fractured when the door burst open. Alara jerked upright. Rowan spun around, power flaring over his skin. Her mother stood in the doorway, ashen, trembling, urgency radiating like cold mist. They're here, she breathed. All of them. Rowan stiffened. Who? Alara's mother swallowed hard, eyes locked on her daughter. The moon's sworn, and they're coming for her. The torches outside the healer's den flickered violently, like the air itself was recoiling from what approached. Rowan positioned himself in front of Alara before she could speak, his body a living shield, his aura spreading across the room like a storm front. The ground beneath their feet vibrated, not from footsteps, but from the pressure of raw, unfamiliar power. Alara's mother shut the door behind her, bracing her back against it as though expecting it to explode inward. They've surrounded the den, she said, voice trembling for the first time. They tracked her scent straight here. Rowan's eyes flashed gold. How many? More than you can take alone. Rowan didn't flinch. That wasn't the question. Alara's mother exhaled shakily. 6, maybe 7, and they're not wolves, not fully. Alara's stomach tightened. What does that mean? Her mother hesitated. They were once wolves, moon-marked, but the moon sworn twisted them. A low growl rolled out of Rowan's chest, deep and lethal. Something about the sound made Alara's wolf rise sharply inside her, ears flat, ready to fight. Alara took a step forward. I'm not hiding. Rowan turned on her instantly. You're not fighting either. Rowan, no. His voice cracked like a command from the marrow of the earth. I'm not letting them touch you. Alara's mother pushed away from the door. She may not have a choice. They don't need to kill her to take her. They only need to disable you long enough to. The door shook violently, a heavy strike from the outside splintering the wood. Alara's wolf lunged inside her. Let me out. Another hit, this one harder, sent cracks racing across the frame. Rowan moved into position, his wolf surging so close to the surface that the temperature in the room dropped. His voice came out as a low rumble. Alara, behind me. For once, she obeyed, not out of fear, but because the air outside smelled wrong. Rot mixed with moonlight, ancient and fractured. Her mother raised her hands, calling silver threads of magic that shimmered in the dim room. I can hold the barrier for a few minutes, no more. The third impact hit the door, this time with a guttural, distorted roar that didn't belong to any wolf she'd ever heard. The wooden beams snapped, dust rained down. Rowan glanced back at Alara, eyes molten gold. When they break through, he murmured, run. I'm not leaving you, she shot back, his jaw clenched. Please, Alara. She froze. Rowan had never said please to her, not once. But before she could respond, the door exploded inward. Shards flew. Rowan grabbed Alara, pulling her behind him as 3 figures stormed through the opening. They were tall, broad-shouldered, but wrong. Their eyes glowed an unnatural white. Their movements were jerky, like puppets pulled by invisible strings. Their scent hit Alara like a punched memory, cold, metallic, empty. Her mother's voice dropped to a whisper. They're bound. Rowan stepped forward, muscles coiling, wolf rising to the edge of skin. The moon-sworn soldiers turned their heads toward Alara in perfect synchronization, and smiled, a hollow, chilling smile. Rowan snapped. Power detonated through the room, raw and brutal. He shifted halfway, bones cracking, claws ripping through skin, his form towering and feral, a creature of golden fire and wrath. The soldiers lunged. Rowan met them head-on, catching the first by its throat and slamming it into the wall so hard the stones cracked. The second charged for Alara, but her mother's magic shot forward, wrapping around the creature's limbs like silver chains. Alara, Rowan roared. Go! But she didn't move. Because the third soldier wasn't looking at Rowan or at her mother. Its glowing white eyes were fixed only on Alara, and in its hand was a blade carved from moonstone. Her blood ran cold. Her mother screamed, That's for binding, run! But it was too late. The soldier lunged straight for her. Something inside Alara snapped open, like a lock undone. Her wolf surged forward, overwhelming everything, dragging her into the shift with a force so powerful the room blurred. And Alara's vision flooded with silver. For a heartbeat, Alara didn't feel her body. Only the tearing rush of instinct, hot, bright, merciless, swallowing every boundary she'd spent years forcing around her wolf. Her shift hit fast. Too fast. Bones realigned with a fierce jolt. Her senses cracked open like a flooded dam. The world brightened, every sound sharp, every scent layered with meaning she hadn't been able to decipher before. The moonstone blade sliced through the air toward her, but her wolf was already moving. Alara launched sideways, claws scraping stone, landing low with her fur brushing the floor. A snarl ripped from her throat, raw, furious, protective. The soldier pivoted unnaturally toward her, but Rowan appeared between them in a blur of gold and shadow. Half-shifted, he struck the soldier across the chest with enough force to send it crashing into the far wall. Alara's mother gasped behind them. "Alara, your wolf!" But Alara couldn't shift back. Her human consciousness hovered like a thin thread behind the wolf's urgency, her thoughts scattered in frantic flashes. Protect. Move. Don't let that blade touch you. Don't let Rowan fall. The room was chaos. Dust floated in the air. The torches guttered. Her mother's magic pulsed violently, trying to restrain the second soldier as its limbs twisted against the shimmering binding. The third soldier, the one Rowan had slammed earlier, rose on cracked bones, head tilting at an unnatural angle as it focused again on Alara. Its eyes were still empty white. Alara's wolf bared her teeth. Rowan stepped beside her, breathing harshly, his half-shifted form towering and lethal. He didn't look at her, didn't dare, but his stance shifted, aligning with hers as if they'd trained together for years. "Stay close," he growled. She moved without thinking, positioning herself so her flank brushed his. A spark of awareness shot through her, not romantic, not tender, something older, a recognition woven into instinct. The soldier with the moonstone blade straightened and pointed the weapon at her. The blade gleamed with a cold, unnatural sheen. Her mother whispered, "Moon-binding steel." "Gods help us," Rowan snarled. "No one touches her." The soldier lunged. Alara didn't wait for Rowan. Her wolf sprinted forward, claws screeching against stone. The soldier swung the blade in a sharp arc, too controlled, too fast, and Alara dropped low, feeling the weapon slice the air above her spine. Rowan caught the soldier's arm mid-strike. The blade stopped inches from her muzzle. "Mine!" Rowan snarled, voice layered with something deeper than his own. The soldier twisted free with unnatural strength and kicked Rowan backward. He hit the ground but rolled to his feet instantly. Alara leapt at the soldier, jaws clamping onto its forearm. The taste that hit her tongue wasn't blood, it was metallic old wrong. The soldier didn't react to pain, it reacted to the grip. It turned the blade toward her head. "Alara!" her mother shouted. Rowan slammed into the soldier from the side, sending both of them skidding across the floor. The blade bounced free and spun across the room, landing dangerously close to the fallen herbs and scattered jars. Her mother flinched. "Don't let it touch your skin." Rowan and the soldier grappled, claws, fists, snarls, but Alara's wolf tore into the fight without hesitation. She lunged at the soldier's shoulder, dragging it off Rowan long enough for him to regain his footing. A choked sound escaped Rowan, part pain, part fury, and he grabbed the soldier's head with both hands, twisting sharply. The soldier dropped, but it didn't release Alara's fur from its rigid grip. She felt the cold even through her wolf's coat. Her mother shouted, "Alara, shift back now!" She tried. Nothing responded. The wolf clung too tightly, instincts burning too hot. Rowan pried the soldier's hand open, freeing her. His chest rose and fell in sharp, uneven breaths. Blood from the earlier fight streaked his shoulder, and the sight hit Alara with a sudden jolt. Too many memories, too many nights she'd wondered if he survived the last battle he vanished into. "Alara," he rasped, eyes finally meeting hers. "Come back, I need you human to get us out of here." Her wolf hesitated. A rumble echoed in the hallway outside, not footsteps, something heavier, more of them, or something worse. Her mother's magic flickered. The chains around the second soldier trembled. "Rowan," her mother whispered, "if you're going to move her, do it now." He nodded once, jaw set. "Alara," he said again, softer this time. "Look at me." Her wolf's growl faded. His voice anchored her. Air shivered around her as the shift reversed, slow, painful, reluctant. Rowan turned away to give her a scrap of privacy, but he stayed close enough that she could feel the heat of him. When she was human again, she staggered. Rowan caught her before her knees hit the floor. His heartbeat thundered against her ear. "We can't hold this place," he murmured. "More are coming." Alara lifted her head. "Then we run," she whispered. Rowan didn't argue. He pulled her to her feet as the last bindings around the second soldier snapped. They had seconds, maybe less. And for the first time since Rowan vanished months ago, Alara wasn't afraid of her wolf. She was afraid of what she'd just proven she could do. Rowan dragged Alara into the corridor just as the second soldier tore free of her mother's shimmering chains. The sound it made, something between a snarl and a broken exhale, echoed through the stone hallway. Alara's bare feet hit the cold floor. The world still carried the sharp brightness of her wolf's senses, every sound layered and too close. Her pulse thudded in her ears, not from fear, but from the shock of how easily her wolf had taken the lead. Her mother reached for her wrist. "Stay between us." Her tone held no softness, only protective steel. Rowan took point, moving in a low, controlled stride even though fresh blood streaked his arm. He didn't look back, but Alara felt him checking for her presence by the way his shoulders tensed whenever she fell half a step behind. The corridor branched left toward the old storage tunnels and right toward the healer's courtyard. Rowan paused for half a second, scenting the air. "Alara," he said without turning, "your senses are sharper. Tell me what's ahead." She stiffened. "I can't control it yet." "Don't control it," he said quietly. "Let it show you." Her wolf stirred at his words, unhelpfully eager. Alara inhaled. Scents separated, damp moss, scorched metal, the faint sweetness of crushed herbs, and further down the right hallway she froze. "Three more, their scent is faint but wrong, like the others." Rowan changed direction without hesitation. "Left," her mother muttered. "The tunnels collapse in the north branch. We'll have to take the river path." "That's fine," Rowan answered. "They won't follow through water." "Because they can't," Alara asked. Her mother's gaze darkened. "Because their bodies won't last in it." Alara swallowed. She didn't want to know what that meant. As they moved deeper, the torches thinned until only the glow of Rowan's half-shifted eyes lit parts of the tunnel. Alara's wolf sight filled in the rest, edges sharp, shadows alive with warning. Behind them, the soldier from the den stepped into the hall, its movements stiff but purposeful. Rowan stiffened. "Faster!" They ran, stone grated beneath their steps. The low ceiling forced Rowan to duck as he sprinted, keeping his body angled protectively in front of them. Alara kept close, her breaths coming quick but controlled. A soft rumble traveled through the floor. Rowan stopped so fast her mother nearly collided with him. "What now?" Alara whispered. He lifted a finger for silence. The rumble grew, not footsteps, a sound like stone grinding against stone. "Alara!" Rowan's voice dipped. "Do you smell?" She focused. Under the damp tunnel scent, under the metallic rot of the bound soldier behind them, something else emerged, something wild, something not moon-sworn. Her wolf shifted inside her with a startled jolt. "There's another wolf," she murmured. "But it's wrong, not corrupted like them, but not stable." Rowan's head turned slightly. "Unstable how? It doesn't smell like a person or a soldier." Her throat tightened. "It smells desperate." Rowan swore under his breath. "A feral." Her mother's hand tightened around Alara's wrist. "That's impossible. There hasn't been a feral inside the pack lands in decades." Rowan's expression hardened. "Then someone let it in." A roar, raw, anguished, shook dust from the ceiling. Rowan grabbed Alara's arm. "Move, now!" The roar came again, closer this time, echoing through the stone like something dragging its claws along the walls. Alara's wolf reacted instantly, fur-bristling instinct, a primitive warning pulsing through her veins. Rowan pushed her ahead of him. "Stay low and don't break formation." They sprinted deeper into the tunnels, another bend, another roar. Alara's mother whispered urgently, "Rowan, if it's a feral, I know." His voice was sharp, clipped. "I'll handle it." "No," Alara said, surprising herself. "We handle it." Rowan shot her a look, part disbelief, part something fiercer. But he didn't argue. They rounded a corner, and the tunnel opened into a cavern lit by the dull glow of bioluminescent moss. At the center of the cavern was a wolf. Huge, bones too visible beneath matted fur. Eyes wild, not glowing like the bound soldiers, but scattered like it was fighting something inside its own mind. It whipped its head toward them, panting in jagged animal bursts. Rowan lifted a hand. "Don't provoke it." Alara couldn't look away. The feral wolf's scent hit her, and her chest tightened in a way that wasn't fear. Recognition. Not personal, instinctual. Wolves who fell feral left something behind, a trace of what they once were. And this one had been moon-marked too. Alara whispered, "It wasn't born feral, it was made." Rowan's jaw locked. "That shouldn't be possible." Her mother let out a shaky breath. "Unless they've learned how to break a wolf's mind without killing the body." The feral crouched low. Rowan stepped in front of Alara. "Alara," he murmured, "if it charges, shift, don't hesitate." She nodded, breath tight. But the feral didn't charge. It whimpered, then collapsed. Alara took a step forward before she could stop herself. Asen, her mother hissed, stay back. But the wolf's eyes, gods, its eyes, they locked onto Alara with a plea so raw it cut through every rule she'd ever been taught. And then, barely audible, its voice scraped the edge of a broken shift. Help! Rowan's breath hitched. Alara's wolf pushed forward, and the world tilted into a dangerous new direction. The feral wolf lay trembling on the cavern floor, ribs rising in uneven, painful shudders. Its paws scraped helplessly against the stone, not to attack, but as though trying to crawl toward them, toward her. Alara didn't breathe. Rowan's arm shot out across her torso, barring her path. Don't step closer. I'm not, she whispered, though her body leaned forward on its own. Her wolf pressed against the inside of her ribs, ears tilted sharply toward the creature. Her mother circled them slowly, hands glowing faintly with protective magic. If it's still conscious, it shouldn't be. Ferals lose themselves. The wolf made a sound, a small one, thin, strangled. Not a growl, not a warning, a cry. Alara's throat tightened. Rowan, we can't just let it die. We're not killing it. Rowan didn't lower his arm. But getting too close could turn this cavern into a blood pit in 2 seconds. The feral's eyes flicked up. They weren't empty like the bound soldiers. They were fractured, yes, but behind the chaos, a spark of awareness caught the mosslight and held it. It whispered again. Please, Rowan stiffened. Alara, back up. She didn't move. I've heard that voice before, she murmured. Rowan turned sharply. What? A memory surfaced faint like a dream, a low voice from her early years in the pack, laughing during training, arguing with instructors, complaining about the cold northern patrols, her chest hollowed. I think this wolf was from our pack. Her mother inhaled sharply. No, that's impossible. All missing members were accounted for after the northern raid. Alara shook her head. Not all. Rowan's entire posture changed, not looser but sharper, like a decision was forming behind his ribs. What do you need from me? He asked her, voice quiet but edged. Alara stepped out from under his arm and dropped into a slow crouch, not close enough for the wolf to reach her, but close enough to be understood. She opened her hands, palms empty. It's all right, she whispered. We're not here to hurt you. Her wolf softened inside her, sending small pulses through her limbs, steady, coaxing, instinctive. The feral's ears twitched. Rowan lowered his stance behind her, ready to strike if it lunged. Her mother moved to cover their flank, magic trembling on her fingers. Alara stayed still. The wolf's gaze locked on her. A rattled sound escaped its chest, half-shifted vocal cords struggling to form words. Alara, her heart stopped. Rowan's growl vibrated the air. How does it know your name? Alara's breath came uneven now, not from fear, but recognition blooming like a bruise. Because I know him. Her mother's face went pale. Who? Alara swallowed. Lorik. The name hung in the cavern like a ghost. Lorik, the scout who vanished 3 winters ago. The boy who used to bring her pine berries when she was confined to the healer's porch after training injuries. The first wolf who ever joked that she'd outrun the alpha one day. Rowan's eyes narrowed. Jealousy didn't flare, this wasn't that. But something colder did. Suspicion, fear for what corruption could do to someone Alara cared about. The feral wolf dragged its body an inch forward, claws screeching softly. Alara! It hurt to listen. Help me! Alara's wolf surged, a fierce, protective instinct rising so fast it stole her breath. We're taking him with us, she said, her voice steady. Rowan stepped in front of her so abruptly she nearly collided with him. No, absolutely not. He's dying. I know that. Rowan's tone carried more strain than anger. But he's also unpredictable, contaminated, and strong enough to tear through your throat even in this state. He won't. You can't know that. She lifted her chin. Yes, I can. Rowan stared at her, really stared, as if searching for the part of her that had changed since she shifted earlier, because something had changed. She saw it in his eyes. You're not scared of him, he said quietly. No. You're not scared of yourself either. She hesitated. Rowan caught it, his voice softened just a fraction. Alara! Before he could say more, the tunnel behind them shook. The bound soldier they'd escaped from let out a guttural, echoing roar. They were out of time. Rowan cursed under his breath. Fine, we move him, but if he loses control. He won't. Rowan shot her a look of pure disbelief, but he didn't argue further. He crouched beside the feral wolf, hands steady, movements slow. Alara, he murmured. Talk to him, keep him calm. She leaned close enough that Lorik could send her wolf through her human skin. His breathing leveled a fraction, but enough. We're getting you out, she whispered. You're not alone. Rowan slid one arm beneath Lorik's torso, bracing to lift him. The moment Rowan touched him fully, Lorik convulsed, hard, violent, the corruption inside him flaring like a wound being torn open. Alara, Rowan warned. "I've got him." She pressed her hand to Lorik's head, letting her wolf bleed warmth through her palm. Something steadied inside him. Rowan lifted the feral wolf onto his back in one brutal, efficient motion. The roar from the tunnel grew louder. Her mother spun toward the sound. "They've found us." Rowan adjusted his grip on Lorik. "Then we run." Alara stepped beside him, her wolf rising to the surface like a second heartbeat. Together, wounded, hunted, carrying a broken wolf on their backs, they sprinted into the darkness. And every step Alara took deepened the terrifying truth. Her wolf wasn't just growing stronger. It was waking up. The moon was high, swollen and silent when Alara stepped into the clearing, not as the girl they had mocked, not as the Omega they had dismissed, but as something reborn in silver fire. Every whisper died the moment the pack saw her. Her hair blew in the cold wind like a banner of defiance, her aura shimmering with the quiet, terrifying hum of a wolf no one had ever been allowed to see. Not until now. Not until the world had pushed her so far she broke the chains her mother placed on her birth. And at the center of the clearing stood Cadden, the alpha, her mate, the man who had spent days trying to hold himself together while his wolf clawed at his mind for her. Tonight, he looked like a storm barely held in human shape. His chest rose hard when he saw her. His jaw tightened. His pupils blew wide, the mate bond slamming into him like a physical hit. "Alara," he breathed, voice raw, voice breaking, voice hungry. But she didn't walk to him. She walked past the pack that once laughed at her, past the warriors who once stepped over her, past the Luna who had pretended she didn't exist. Every head bowed as she passed. Not because she demanded it, but because their wolves instinctively folded under the pressure of her suddenly awakened power, the same power her mother had spent 17 years hiding. Cadden swallowed hard, chest heaving as he forced out, What did you do?" Alara stopped just a few feet away from him, but she didn't touch him, didn't reach for him, didn't let her voice tremble the way her heart did. "I let myself become what I always was," she said softly. "And I won't apologize for it." Cadden stepped closer, slow, controlled, like approaching a wounded goddess who might bite or disappear. "You're not the same girl I left in that cellar," he whispered. "No," she said, "and you're not the same alpha I thought I knew." Something cracked across his expression, pain, longing, guilt, all tangled together. The pack watched, breathless. The new Omega who glowed like moonfire, and the alpha who could barely keep his wolf from dropping to his knees for her. "Alara," he rasped, losing the last of his composure, "don't walk away from me tonight." She lifted her chin, eyes steady, voice unwavering. "That depends," she said. "Are you asking as the alpha or as my mate?" The clearing held its breath. Cadden's wolf answered before he could. He stepped forward slowly, then lowered his head, not in dominance, but in surrender to her, to the bond, to the power she had finally unleashed. And the entire pack followed. Dozens of wolves bowing without even knowing why. Alara inhaled sharply, heart pounding. For the first time in her life, they bowed to her, to his mate, to the hidden wolf who was never supposed to rise, to their future Luna. And Cadden whispered as the first wolf surrendered, "I'm asking you as the man who's already yours." The bowing wolves rose one by one, their eyes flickering with something that hadn't been present before, respect and fear. Not fear of Alara, fear of what she represented. Power. Hidden lineage, a threat to anyone who had once mocked her place at the bottom. But Cadden wasn't afraid. He stepped closer, the bond pulling him as surely as the moon pulled the tide. His breathing was unsteady, his chest rising and falling like he was resisting the urge to grab her and never let go. "Alara," he murmured, "I need you to listen to me." "No." Her voice was soft, but it cut him clean. Cadden's jaw locked. The pack stared. No one said no to their alpha, except her. "I'm not the girl you command anymore," she continued. "I won't let you speak until you're ready to tell the truth." His nostrils flared. "About what?" "About why you rejected me that night when your wolf didn't want to." Cadden took a step back. His wolf didn't. His wolf stepped forward. A low rumble rolled out of his chest, the sound of a mate bond begging for recognition, begging for touch, begging for her. "Alara," his voice shook. "I didn't reject you, not really." "You walked away," she reminded him, chin rising. "You locked me in a cellar, you said you didn't need me as your mate." "I lied." She blinked, shocked, furious, unable to move. Cadden dragged a hand through his hair, finally losing that tight alpha composure he always forced onto himself. "My father is coming," he said. "Not the man who raised me, the alpha before him. The one who killed my mother." Alara's blood ran cold. He rarely spoke of his father. When he did, it was only in fragments, dark, sharp pieces that hinted at a past soaked in blood. He wants control of this pack again, Cadden forced out, and he will use any weakness to get it. And you thought I was a weakness, she whispered, a blade in her voice. No, the word tore out of him. You were the one thing he could destroy to break me. The sky suddenly seemed too quiet, too still. Alara swallowed hard. So you pushed me away. I chained you, he said, voice cracking, because I thought I was protecting you from him. The fury she had been holding for days, hours, years finally trembled. Anger, yes, pain, yes, but underneath it all was something terrible and soft, a truth she hated realizing. He hadn't rejected her because she was weak. He had rejected her because she mattered too much. And your wolf, she whispered. What did he want? Cadden looked at her, conflict blazing in his eyes. Then he didn't answer with words. He shifted. It happened fast, bones snapping, muscles twisting, dark fur exploding outward like a storm released. The pack gasped. Cadden's wolf stood before her, massive, scarred, breathtaking in his power. And he didn't growl. He didn't show dominance. He stepped toward her and nudged his massive head into her stomach, trembling, whining, pressing himself against her like he had been starved of her touch. Alara's breath caught. His wolf had chosen her, not as an omega, not as a burden, but as his mate. Her fingers slid into the thick fur at his neck. He shuddered like the world had finally righted itself. Cadden, she whispered, voice breaking, what are we going to do? He lifted his head, silver eyes blazing with a vow, not spoken, not declared, promised. He would burn the world before losing her again. Cadden's wolf didn't stay pressed to her for long. A sound rolled across the trees, deep, old, nothing like the wolves she knew. It was heavier, thick with age and violence. A call that belonged to no pack she'd ever heard. Cadden's wolf jerked back, head snapping toward the forest's edge. His hackles rose so high they looked like black thorns down his spine. What is that? Alara whispered. Braylon answered instead. That, he said quietly, is the wolf who trained Cadden, the wolf who killed anyone who stood in his way. The growl came again, closer this time. Alara's heartbeat pulsed in her ears, slamming against her ribs. Not fear, something sharper. A feeling she didn't yet have a name for, but every instinct screamed danger. Cadden shifted back, breath ragged, a shiver running through him as skin replaced fur. He barely caught his footing before he stepped in front of her, shielding her with his body. The pack spread out behind him, forming a half circle, ready but terrified. Even hardened warriors lowered their heads under the weight of the presence approaching. Cadden spoke without looking at her. Do not move from behind me, not one step. His voice was low, not commanding, begging. A branch snapped. 3 figures emerged from the tree line. At the front was a man built like he'd been carved from stone. Tall, broad, eyes like frozen fire, no remorse in his expression, just calculation. His scent cut through the air, thick and cold, like metal left out in winter. Alara's stomach tightened. She had smelled that metal once before, the night Cadden locked her in the cellar. The scent had clung to him afterward, faint but impossible to ignore. This man, this monster, was his father. You shifted early, the older alpha said. His voice held no warmth. That wasn't wise, boy. Cadden's shoulders locked. Don't call me that. You're still my blood, you obey, I don't obey you. The older alpha's eyes slid past him, landing on Alara. Her skin prickled. Every hair on her body stood on end. Interesting, he murmured. So the rumors were true. Braylon stiffened. What rumors? That he took a mate. A cruel smile touched his mouth. And that the mate wasn't meant for him. Alara's breath caught. Cadden moved so fast he was a blur, his arm blocking the older alpha's line of sight, his body angled like he would take a blade to the heart before letting this man get any closer. This isn't your pack, Cadden said, and she isn't your concern. Oh, but she is. The older alpha's gaze sharpened. When a Luna carries blood outside her rank, it becomes everyone's concern. Alara's pulse crashed in her ears. He knew. He knew she was carrying a secret neither she nor Cadden had spoken aloud yet. The older alpha took a step toward them. Cadden's growl ripped through the clearing, deep and violent. You won't touch her. You can't protect what you don't claim, his father replied. Not by pack law, not by blood law, and certainly not from me. Alara felt the shift, not in Cadden, but in the pack, fear, unease, an undercurrent of something she hadn't expected, doubt. Cadden sensed it too. His breath stuttered before he steadied himself, fingers curling at his sides. Braylon stepped forward, voice steady. Cadden has claimed her, we all saw the shift, his wolf accepted her. The older alpha's lip curled. Wolves accept many things, bloodlines accept only truth. He reached out one hand open, deceptively calm. Alara, he said softly, come here. Cadden moved in front of her so quickly the ground cracked beneath his feet. I dare you, he growled, to speak her name again. The wind held its breath. 2 alphas, 1 legacy, 1 bond. And Alara, caught between blood and destiny, finally understood. Tonight wasn't about territory or rank or broken promises. It was about who she chose, fully and without fear. Her voice rose from somewhere steadier than she felt. "Cadden." He looked back, eyes storm bright. "I'm not stepping behind you," she whispered. "Not anymore." A flicker of something raw crossed his face. Pride, terror, love, all tangled too tightly to pull apart. And then the older alpha lunged. The older alpha didn't charge like a man. He launched, a blur of muscle and shadow breaking through the air with the force of a falling tree. Cadden met him mid-stride. The collision cracked through the clearing, sending leaves spiraling upward as if the forest recoiled from the violence. Alara stumbled back at the shockwave, her breath snatched from her chest. Not fear, instinct. Her wolf surged against her skin, ready to claw out, ready to defend him. But the pack, they froze. Every wolf stood locked between instinct and terror, their gazes flicking between their alpha and the monster who once ruled them. Braylon was the first to move. "Come on," he barked at the stunned warriors. "Don't just stand there, support your alpha." Still, only a handful advanced, hesitant and pale. Cadden didn't wait for them. He slammed his father to the dirt, knees digging in, forearm braced against the older alpha's throat. His muscles trembled with the effort it took to hold the man down. But the moment lasted only a heartbeat. The older alpha twisted, a brutal, practiced movement, and wrenched free, flipping Cadden onto his back with terrifying ease. Alara's lungs tightened. This wasn't a fight. It was a lesson. A violent reminder of who had taught Cadden to fight in the first place. "You're slower than your mother," the older alpha said, dusting dirt from his hands. "At least she died with teeth bared." Cadden surged forward with a snarl, but his father sidestepped, landing a blow to his ribs that forced him onto one knee. "Cadden!" Alara's voice broke out, sharper than she intended. His head jerked up at the sound, eyes fierce, breath jagged. She felt the mate bond tighten between them, pulling taut like a tether made of heat. He didn't need to speak for her to feel the message pulsing beneath his skin. Stay back, please. She couldn't, and the older alpha knew it. He circled Cadden, eyes flicking between them. His interest wasn't in the fight, it was in the reaction. "You defend her with your whole body," he mused, "yet you've never marked her. Why is that?" Alara went still. Cadden's breath faltered, the older alpha's smile stretched. "Oh," he murmured, "I see." This man didn't have scent tracking finesse. He didn't need it. He had cruelty. He had instinct. And he could see exactly where Cadden's guard faltered. "You're afraid," he said. "Afraid that marking her will make her your weakness." Cadden's voice came rough, scraped from somewhere deep. "She has never been a weakness." "Then why haven't you claimed her?" The question cracked through him. Cadden moved first, faster than she'd seen him all night, but his father was already there, catching his arm, twisting it behind his back and slamming him onto the ground. Cadden gasped, muscles locking. The pack flinched as the older alpha planted a boot on Cadden's spine and leaned just enough to make the air leave his lungs. "Cadden!" Alara stepped forward before she realized she'd moved. Braylon grabbed her wrist. "You can't," she ripped free. Her voice cut through the clearing. Cold, clear, dangerous. "If you touch him again, you answer to me." The older alpha stopped. His irritation flickered, then morphed into interest. "Alara," he said, tilting his head slightly, "do you even know what you carry?" Her breath hitched. Cadden froze beneath the pressure of that boot. The older alpha let the moment stretch, savoring it like a man who admired his own cruelty. "She's not just your mate," he said softly. "She's your—" A snarl ripped through the clearing. Cadden's eyes flashed, bright, wild, almost luminous, as he forced himself up against the weight pinning him down. His father didn't budge, but Cadden didn't stop. Muscles bunched, spine arched, heat rolled off him in waves. He was shifting, even in pain. Even pinned, even knowing he couldn't win because she was in danger. Alara felt her throat tighten as his bones began to twist beneath his skin, fur breaking through along his shoulders. His wolf wasn't shifting out of instinct. He was shifting out of rage and pure, unwavering devotion. The older alpha leaned closer, voice lowering to a whisper only Cadden and Alara could hear. "Shift, boy. Let me show her what a real alpha looks like when he's broken." That was it. Alara's control snapped. Her own wolf shoved forward, not fully shifting but pressing so fiercely against her skin that her vision blurred at the edges, her nails sharpening, breath deepening into something feral. "Cadden," she whispered, voice trembling with the force of it, "I'm not staying out of this fight." His half-shifted head turned toward her. Silver eyes met hers. And for the first time since this nightmare began, he didn't try to stop her. He accepted her. Alara didn't shift all the way. Not yet. Her wolf pressed against her skin, claws scraping just beneath the surface, urging her forward with a single message. He's ours, protect him. Cadden's father finally lifted his boot from Cadden's spine, not out of mercy, but because his attention had shifted entirely to her. Come closer, he said, voice almost gentle. Let me see what my son risked everything for. She didn't move. Her stillness wasn't fear, it was calculation. Braylon edged beside her, breath low. Alara, wait for the signal, don't run straight into. She took one step forward. Braylon cursed under his breath. Right, or do that. Cadden dragged himself to his feet with a guttural sound, half-shifted still, silver fur streaking down his arms. His chest heaved, body shaking with the effort to stay upright. Alara! Her name tore out of him like a plea he didn't want anyone else to hear. His father chuckled softly. Look at you, unraveling because a woman stands between us. She's not standing between us, Cadden rasped. She's standing with me. A beat of silence, sharp, electric. Then the older alpha's expression twisted into amusement. You truly believe she'd survive a bond with you, that she'd survive the child? Cadden lunged, not at his father, at Alara. His body slammed into her, knocking her sideways just as a blur of claws sliced through the air where she'd been standing. Another wolf had come from the trees, smaller than the former alpha but fast, skilled, and vicious. A supporter, one of his father's old loyalists, they'd been waiting for distraction. Cadden hit the ground with Alara under him, breath ragged, fury blazing in his eyes. He didn't ask if she was hurt, he smelled her blood before she felt it, a thin cut along her arm. The scent hit him like poison. His head snapped up, teeth lengthening, a deep rumble rising through his chest. Coward, Cadden snarled. You brought others into this. His father folded his arms. Did you expect me to come alone? A dethroned alpha has no honor left to defend. 3 more wolves stepped out of the forest. The pack behind Cadden faltered, some stepping back, others gripping the earth with their claws as if anchoring themselves to courage they weren't sure they had. Alara pushed up into a crouched position, vision sharp, muscles tight. The pain in her arm barely registered. Cadden turned to her, voice rough. You're bleeding. It's nothing. His wolf disagreed. He leaned in instinctively, brushing his nose against the wound before he could stop himself. Heat rolled through her arm, the bond vibrating with something fierce and protective. Cadden, she whispered, I'm fine, focus. But his father heard the shift in the air, he saw the pull, he saw the truth. Oh, the older alpha murmured. So she really is carrying it. Alara's breath froze. The clearing went silent. Cadden went still. His father smiled like he'd been holding this card the entire time. You didn't tell her, he asked Cadden. Or were you hoping the symptoms were something else? Alara shook her head slowly. What symptoms? Cadden didn't answer because he couldn't, because he'd been avoiding this exact moment ever since that night under the full moon. His father stepped closer, eyes fixed on Alara with predatory understanding. He hasn't marked you, he said. Yet his scent is all over you. Her scent is changing. Her heartbeat is different. Alara felt her stomach drop. Cadden's throat worked, muscles tight, breath unsteady. Cadden, she whispered. What is he talking about? His eyes finally met hers. Not alpha eyes, not warrior eyes, raw, trembling, terrified eyes. Alara, he whispered. You're carrying my... Aurora cut him off. His father launched forward, not at Cadden. At her. Cadden moved faster than his father had anticipated. He shifted mid-stride, fur exploding outward as his wolf burst free in a violent, seamless transformation. He hit his father with the full force of his beast, teeth clamping onto the man's shoulder, dragging him away from her like tearing a threat from the earth. Braylon yelled, Wolves incoming! Alara braced herself as the loyalists charged. Her wolf pressed against her skin, one breath away from taking over completely. She didn't feel fear. She didn't feel hesitation. Only a single, burning truth. She would fight for Cadden, for the life inside her. For the bond they had never spoken but had already chosen. And when her nails lengthened into claws, Alara realized she wasn't just reacting. She was changing. Alara didn't remember choosing to shift. One moment she stood on trembling legs, breath sharp, pulse pounding. The next heat exploded beneath her skin, rolling through her body in a burning wave that snapped her spine straight. Her knees buckled. Claws tore through her fingertips first. Then her vision sharpened until she could count every grain of dirt beneath her feet, every flare of movement in the clearing. Someone shouted her name, Braylon, maybe, but the sound dissolved under the surge inside her, a river breaking its dam. Her wolf had been quiet her whole life. Not absent, not dead, just held back, muted, bound. Now the restraints shattered. Her ribs expanded, bones shifting beneath her skin with a deep, cracking release. Fur rippled down her arms in a silver cascade. Her breath turned to a growl that vibrated through the ground. The pain didn't feel like pain. It felt like truth. Cadden didn't see the moment her wolf emerged, not fully. He was locked in combat with his father, jaws clamped around the older alpha's shoulder, the copper scent of blood filling the air. But every instinct in him jolted at once. A pulse of energy hit the clearing, raw and ancient, a new wolf entering the world. His head snapped toward her. What he saw nearly brought him to his knees. Alara stood in the center of the clearing, half shifted, muscles trembling in the glow of the moon filtering through the trees. Fur streaked down her back in silver and charcoal, her eyes bright gold, far too bright for a first shift. She wasn't supposed to shift like this, not this fast, not this powerfully. Not unless, Cadden's father laughed through blood. "Oh, look at that! The child is waking her wolf early." Cadden's jaw locked. The growl that tore from him was almost primal. But Alara moved before he could react. Her gaze cut to the wolf that had sliced her earlier. The loyalist lunged again, teeth bared. Alara met him head-on. No hesitation, no fear. She slammed into the wolf with force she shouldn't have had, sending him skidding through leaves and dirt. She followed, claws flashing, pinning him with a weight that wasn't fully wolf, wasn't fully human, something between. The loyalist yelped, scrambling. She didn't tear him apart. She didn't have to. He broke under her stare alone. Cadden's father watched with interest glowing in his cold eyes. "Oh, this is even better than I hoped." Cadden pressed him harder into the dirt, fury radiating from every inch of his body. "You stay away from her. She's carrying your bloodline," his father murmured. "You can't hide that from me. The wolf doesn't lie." Alara turned at the sound of their voices. Her wolf eyes locked onto Cadden, not confused, not wild, but steady. Her shift paused halfway, as if she was holding herself between two worlds. Braylon approached carefully, palms raised. "Easy, Alara, you're doing fine, just breathe." Her breath came in deep, rumbling pulses. She stepped back from the defeated loyalist, chest rising and falling in sharp waves. Then she did something no first shifter ever did. She spoke. Not perfectly, her voice was layered, half human, half wolf, but understandable. "Cadden." His entire body stilled. She took a shaky step toward him. "Should have told me." His father's smirk stretched. "A bond forged in fear, how fitting." Cadden's wolf form bristled, low growl rolling like distant thunder. Braylon stepped between them, voice cutting through the tension. "Everyone back up, we need space. She's not unstable, she's evolving." Evolving. The word hit Cadden like a blow. Alara's wolf wasn't just emerging. It was accelerating, pushed by the life inside her, pulled by the mate bond, intensified by danger. His father used the distraction. He twisted, ramming his elbow into Cadden's ribs. Cadden dropped to one knee, breath knocked out of him. The older alpha rose, blood dripping down his arm, but eyes bright with satisfaction. "You've already lost," he said softly. "She'll destroy you the moment that wolf takes over fully." He stepped toward Alara. Cadden's snarl tore through the clearing. He launched forward, but Alara moved faster. She blurred past Braylon, past the fallen wolves, past the shock and fear and disbelief. She put herself between Cadden and his father, half-shifted body tense, claws extended, chest rumbling with a warning no one could mistake. Not a victim, not a pawn, not a secret, a Luna. Cadden's father slowed, not out of caution but acknowledgement. "So that's how it is." Alara's voice cracked through the air, low and trembling with power she hadn't learned to control. "Touch him again," she said, "and I finish what his mother started." A hush fell over the clearing. Braylon's eyes widened. The loyalists backed up several steps. Even Cadden's father stopped smiling. Cadden stared at her like he'd never seen anything so terrifying or beautiful in his life. Her legs wavered, exhaustion starting to drag at her half-shifted form. Cadden caught her before she fell, one arm going around her waist, steadying her. Her forehead touched his shoulder, breath shaking. "You're okay," he murmured, voice trembling. "You're okay, Alara, I've got you." She lifted her head, eyes glowing faint gold. "No," she whispered. "We've got each other." Behind them, the older alpha lowered his stance, not retreating, not surrendering, but preparing. Because now he understood, he wasn't fighting his son. He was fighting both of them. And the battle wasn't over. The moon hung heavy over the mountain peaks, swollen and white, as if it, too, sensed what tonight would demand of them. Alara stood at the edge of the Silver Ridge training grounds, boots planted in the dirt still warm from dozens of warriors who had trained earlier. But now the field was empty, except for her. And the alpha who refused to leave. Ronan leaned against the fence, arms crossed over his chest, expression carved from stone. His wolf simmered beneath his skin, barely leashed, eyes glowing with the faintest ember of gold. He wasn't supposed to be here. He wasn't supposed to care. He definitely wasn't supposed to look at her like that, but he did. "You called for me," he said, voice low, rough like gravel dragged over fire. "Why?" Alara swallowed hard. "Because I need answers." A muscle ticked in his jaw. "About what?" "About us." The word cut the air open between them. Ronan looked away sharply as if the sound hurt him. "There is no us." "Then why does your wolf wake up every time I walk into a room?" She shot back. His nostrils flared. His posture stiffened. His wolf surged so hard his eyes flashed gold again. "Alara," he breathed, voice trembling under the strain, "don't push me." "Someone has to," she whispered. Silence stretched long, aching, full of truths they both feared. Then she reached for the thread connecting them, the one that pulsed every time he got too close, every time he lied about not wanting her. "You feel it," she said quietly. "The pull, the bond, the way your wolf reacts to mine." Ronan shut his eyes, chest rising and falling deeply. When he spoke, it wasn't a denial. It was a confession dragged from the throat of a man losing a battle with himself. "My wolf wants you," he said. "Violently, constantly, it's tearing me apart." Her heart stumbled. "Then why deny it?" she whispered. He opened his eyes, and the raw pain in them almost staggered her. "Because wanting you," he said, "is the one thing I can't afford." Before she could speak, he stepped closer. One step, then another. Until the heat of him pressed around her, impossibly real, impossibly forbidden. His voice dropped, dark and soft. "You think I'm strong, Alara, but when it comes to you..." His gaze dipped to her mouth. "I don't know if I can control myself." Her breath caught, because she could feel it, his restraint fraying like a thread pulled too tight. Ronan's nearness wrapped around Alara like a second skin, warm, intoxicating, dangerous. His breath ghosted her cheek, and every instinct in her wolf rose in response, pacing beneath her ribs, wanting him closer, wanting him claimed. But Ronan stood perfectly still, like a man holding back a storm with his bare hands. "Say what you came to say," he rasped. Not alpha command, not intimidation, just a man begging for distance he couldn't bring himself to take. Alara lifted her chin. "I need the truth," she said. "Not the version you give your counsel, not the version you tell yourself, your truth." Ronan's fingers curled against the fence behind her, knuckles whitening. "You want the truth," he murmured. "Fine." He stepped closer, so close her heartbeat echoed against his chest. "The truth is, every time I see you, every time I smell you, every time your wolf brushes mine," his voice dropped to a husky growl, "I almost lose control." Her breath trembled. He wasn't supposed to say that. He wasn't supposed to admit it, and yet here he was stripped raw, no armor left. "But you're still pushing me away," she whispered. "Because wanting you and having you are not the same thing." Alara frowned. "Ronan, what are you afraid of?" He laughed, soft and hollow. "Afraid, I'm terrified." "Of me?" she asked, stunned. "No." His eyes held hers, gold-ringed, deadly sincere. "Of what I'll become if I stop fighting this bond." He reached up slowly, as if fighting his own hand, and touched a curl that had slipped down her cheek, tucking it gently behind her ear. His fingers brushed her skin. Her wolf surged, a fierce rush of heat spiraling through her. Ronan inhaled sharply, biting back a sound that was half groan, half growl. "I told myself I could stay away," he said softly. "Keep you safe, keep us both sane." "And," she breathed. His thumb grazed her jaw, her pulse leapt, his wolf roared. "And I was wrong." For a moment the world narrowed to the inch between their mouths, charged, electric, trembling with every unspoken desire they'd buried for too long. But then Ronan dropped his hand, stepped back, shattered the moment. "We can't do this," he choked out. "Why?" she whispered, desperate now. "If you want me, if the bond wants us, why keep running?" His answer was quiet, deadly, final. "Because someone is hunting you, Alara, and if I claim you now, I paint a target on your back." Her blood ran cold. "Who?" she whispered. Ronan's gaze hardened like iron. "That's what I'm trying to find out." He took a step toward the shadows of the forest, voice low with the promise of violence. "And when I do, they'll wish they never touched what's mine." The wind shifted first. A sharp, metallic tang sliced through the night air, so faint a human would never notice. But Alara did, and so did Ronan. His head snapped toward the tree line, eyes blazing gold in an instant. The change in him was immediate. Alpha reflexes, alpha instincts, alpha fury igniting like wildfire. "Alara," he said quietly, "get behind me." She obeyed without argument, not out of fear, but because her wolf felt it too. Someone was there, watching, waiting. Ronan stepped forward, posture loose but lethal, every muscle coiled. His wolf pushed against his skin, wanting out, wanting blood. A twig snapped in the shadows. Alara's heartbeat thundered. Ronan growled, a low, primal sound that vibrated through the entire clearing. "Come out," he commanded, not a request, not even a threat, an alpha order drenched in violence. "Now!" A silhouette shifted between the trees. Alara froze, not a warrior, not a scout, not a rogue, something else. The figure stepped into the moonlight, hooded, cloaked in black, feet silent against the dirt. No scent. No heartbeat she could detect, no aura she could read. It was impossible. Ronan stiffened. "You." The cloaked stranger tilted their head. A whisper-soft voice answered. "Alpha Ronan, you've been difficult to find." Alara stepped closer to Ronan, instinct screaming. "Who is that?" Ronan didn't look at her, didn't blink. "An informant," he said tightly. "Working for someone I've been trying to track." The stranger smiled beneath the hood, a slow, eerie curl of lips. "Not someone," they whispered. "Something." Alara's spine locked. "Stop talking in riddles," Ronan snarled. "What do you want?" The stranger raised a gloved hand and pointed directly at Alara. She felt the sensation hit her like cold fire, a mark, an energy, old, wrong, twisted. "She's been chosen," the figure said, "marked by the one who is coming." Ronan lunged a step forward, pure alpha fury ripping through him. "Marked by who?" The hooded figure lowered their hand. "You'll know soon, when the moon bleeds for the first time." Alara's wolf recoiled violently. Ronan growled deeper, deadlier. "If you touch her, I'll—" "You'll try," the stranger replied, and then they vanished. Not ran, not shifted, not disappeared into the trees. They dissolved, like smoke sucked backward by wind. The clearing went silent. Then Ronan turned to Alara, eyes pure gold, wild with fear he never let anyone see. "Alara," he breathed, stepping toward her, voice shaking, "we're not dealing with wolves anymore." He pulled her close, fingers gripping her arms, grounding himself. "We're dealing with something ancient." Her voice trembled. "Ronan, what does it mean that I'm marked?" His answer was barely a whisper. "It means the monster hunting you." He cupped her face, thumb brushing her cheek with trembling tenderness. "Isn't done." Her heart pounded. "And I swear," he whispered, forehead pressing to hers, "I won't let them take you, not while I'm still breathing."